Hello, everybody, and welcome to the last full segment of ArvCon 2022, where we are going to play a very wild and unscientific role-playing game with a group of scientists, because that's funny and ironic. And I'm very excited to be joined by 3 scientist fellows of the Damon Runyon Cancer Research Foundation. Those who have been watching may recognize them from earlier this weekend when they all had a great chat with our host Arv, talking about their individual research, some of their other interests, what it's been like working with the foundation so far. And I'm going to boost my volume a little bit. Thank you for letting me know, Triffid. I guess I will just boost my gain. Okay, so this is me with my gain a bit boosted. How does that sound? Just doing an audio check, and then I'm going to keep an eye out for what chat says for each of our audio. Okay, great. I understand that my name is not super legible on the overlay. For those who are watching the stream, most of you already know who I am. Seeing my name is not as important as that of our lovely guests here. So that is that. Today we are playing Heart, the City Beneath, which is a role-playing game by Grant Howitt and Christopher Taylor, with illustrations by Felix Miel. I didn't know that we were going to do two Grant Howitt games because the fact that we were playing the game we were playing this morning completely dropped out of my head, which is very amusing. So this is a game with cool, terrifying art. That's not terrifying, that's just a person.
Greatest monsters of all, Mike.
Yeah, so you get some cool stuff like this, fighting through a tunnel and all this kind of stuff. So I pitched this to our scientists here as Darkest Dungeon meets Annihilation, which is one way that I've seen people talk about it elsewhere. So I've got a adventure prepped for all of them, and the stars of our show are in fact the scientists. So if you're watching this and you're an Arv and Aileron regular, you know me. I'm one of the co-hosts of Speculate and a writer colleague and friend of Arv's, aka Greg. And I write science fiction fantasy books and run games here and stream. And now I would love to invite our guests to introduce themselves for anyone who didn't see the interviews on Saturday. Take it away.
Great. So I think I'm top of the list here, so I can just say hi. I'm Lexi von Dietzman. I'm coming out of Salt Lake City, Utah. I'm over here at the University of Utah, and I am delighted to be able to play a little bit. I used to play more TTRPGs back before the pandemic. That was one of my big social outlets, and always been a big fan of weird body horror. I think Annihilation was definitely something that caught my eye, so I'm excited to get to delving and get a little weird.
I guess I'm next. Hi everyone, I'm Sukrit. I'm a fellow at the Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center in New York City, and I am coming mainly from a world of playing a lot of Dungeons & Dragons 5e and 3.5 before the pandemic, so I'm excited to try out the system, play something completely different, have some fun with it.
And hi, I'm Allison Didchuk. I'm a postdoc at UC Berkeley in the Bay Area, and I'm starting my own lab at Yale next month in New Haven, Connecticut. I am a total noob, but I'm super excited to play this game with these great scientists today.
Excellent. Please pardon me, all who are watching. We had a fairly quick turnaround, but I will hope to be able to address this by letting the players kind of takes the center stage here. So a little bit more about Heart. Heart is a tabletop role-playing game about delving into a nightmare undercity that will give you everything you've ever dreamed of or kill you in the process. It is a dungeon-crawling, story-forward tabletop RPG that focuses on what characters have to lose in pursuit of their dreams in the chaotic darkness beneath the world. So this is a very vibes-forward game. It is a semi-sequel to a role-playing game called Spire: The City Must Fall, which is an earlier game by the same design team. So Grant Howitt and Christopher Taylor And in Spire, there is a giant miles-tall city spire that is ruled by a foreign conquering nation of High Elves, or Elfir, who have come to this land, which was formerly under control of the Drow, aka Dark Elves. So like they are a colonized people living in this giant vertical city that is a literalization of the rich people live in high places. So at the very top, you have all this like the churches and residences of this ruling class, and then everybody else lives at varying levels of the spire. And when Spire came out, it described that at the very bottom of the spire, beneath the ground, was the heart, which is this strange red, wet heaven, of other dimensional, extra dimensional. We don't understand what's going on. It's very strange and doesn't make any sense, because centuries ago, a group of people in the city of Spire created the Vermissian network, which is a train network that goes up and down and across the city of Spire. And it was running super over budget, and the Vermissian sages decided that they would figure out that they could power the Vermissian station by just plugging into the heart. But instead what they did is they stabbed a hole in the fabric of reality, and they have let the heart kind of start to filter in. So the anti-reality, the ab-reality, this force that will give you what you want, but it doesn't understand people, and so what it gives you will probably terrify you, even though it's the thing that you're thinking about, and the heart really just wants to help. So when the heart gives you a dead relative back, and as far as the relative is concerned, they're still the person, but you know that they're not the person, and now things are very sad and scary. Things get difficult. So the characters in this in our adventure today have been assembled by basically the secret ministry who are fighting against the Elfir. So we have this ruling class, and there is an active revolution. And sometimes the members of this revolution need to do things deep down in the heart in order to get the resources or the connections or perform some magical rituals to get what they need to continue this revolution. So we are going to start not at the top of Spire, but down below Derelictus, the city that is the border and the margin between Spire and the heart. We're going to go all the way down to Thistleton, which is a haven built near Thistle Station, which is one of the stations on this Vermissian network. Now you might ask, oh yeah, did they take a train to get down here? Here's the problem. When the heart was pierced, all of the trains of the Vermissian disappeared mysteriously. There are still legends and rumors of one train remaining, but nobody's seen it in a while, or maybe those who saw it didn't come back or didn't want to talk about it. But fortunately, among our three intrepid delvers, we have a Vermissian knight who may be available and capable of guiding the others through the pulse line, which is the one that operates down here. So now I'm going to invite the players to tell us a little bit about your characters. If you could give us your character's name, their pronouns, what class you're playing, and a little bit about anything in terms of background or personality that you want to give them. There are a few different ancestries in Heart, so if you don't have a sense of whether you want to be a human or a member of the Dark Elves or like a anti-authoritarian member of the High Elves, you could also be a gnoll, which is definitely not a D&D species that's just been repurposed. So gnolls are kind of canine, furry type people. Gnolls, they have a whole other nation elsewhere, and there are gnolls from other dimensions that are making incursions to Heart and the Spire with their own technological agenda. So I'd love to know kind of your characters' backgrounds a little bit, as much as you have already prepared, and then we'll talk a little bit about the characters, dig into who they are, so that everybody has a little bit of a grounding on who they're playing before I throw them into terrifying situations. So why don't we reverse the order for character introductions, if you'd like to go first, Allison.
Okay, I am the Vermissian Knight. I guess my pronouns will be he, him. And I guess my name will be, I like Mir, M-I-R, simple. Um, and the reason I guess that I'm was interested in playing the knight was because I like order, and the Vermisian knight was a big part of building this train system. Um, I colloquially call this train system the Heart Bart, and that's an inspiration from the Bay Area. It's because cars are not good for us. Mass transportation is where it's at, and will kill to defend that. What else do we need? My ancestry, I guess.
Yeah. Did any of those kind of ancestries particularly interest you or make sense for Mir?
Um, I think probably one of the elf types. I guess maybe the high elf. I like that.
Yeah, so I think the order thing makes sense here because the high elves, um, they're like a very hedonistic culture. Like so they throw themselves fully into their passions, and so I could see somebody like rejecting the like chaotic indulgence of the Elfir and instead fully embracing the idea of ordering the universe through this Vermisian network, if that makes sense to you.
Love it.
Okay, cool. And as not a lot of Elfir come down to the heart because most of them can afford to be elsewhere. Do you think that Mir came down here of his own volition, or did like his fortunes fall and then that put him in a position to consider the Vermisian?
I think it's a deep irritation with the way the system is right now. I think it's got to be of my own volition.
Okay, very cool. And do you think you've been I'm muted. Do you think you've been in the Knights for very long? Is this something you've done? Have you kind of worked a few different lines, or you mostly stay down in the heart?
I would say I'm relatively new at this, because I think the most passionate people are often quite new at things. So still only a couple years in.
Okay, very cool. Excellent. Sukrit, do you want to tell us about your character?
Sure, yeah. So, my name is Barnabas Clyde. His pronouns are he, him, his. He doesn't actually know his original name. That is the name he got because he is of, I think, human ancestry, because he carries around a very large blunderbuss. So, growing up as a street urchin, he was Barnabas with his blunderbuss. And I think he spends a lot of time just kind of rooting around and finding. He's a junk mage, and this kind of happened because he was rooting around for some equipment for his blunderbuss in around some religious iconography, and accidentally ended up destroying it, but in turn gained some power out of it. And so he has now discovered that this may be a way for his blunderbuss to be even stronger than before.
So did you how did you get into being a junk mage? Were you studying in one of like the more proper magical academies and then decide to go a different direction? Did you get kicked out somewhere? Did you like happen upon some strange ritual that kind of got you interested in magic? What do you think Barnabas's origin as a junk mage is?
I think it would be the happened upon a strange ritual sort of timeline, and upon finding it, got interested and intrigued, and ended up hunting for whatever knowledge he could about it in whatever form it came, whether in wherever he could find it.
And so the players were generous enough to let me kind of make the characters for them. And so for Barnabas, I had suggested the calling of enlightenment, which basically for a character in Heart means that you've got a specific question or some like goal of information that you're seeking. So do you have an idea of what truth does Barnabas want to uncover or test in the world?
I think at this point he's fully leaned into his enjoyment of upgrading his blunderbuss, and so I think his the core truth is making the perfect blunderbuss, whatever that may be. It does not have to actually do anything that people expect a blunderbuss to do.
Okay.
So
So
it could be whatever he wanted it to be, but he wants to know what that means.
so you're both trying to figure out what the perfect blunderbuss, what would it need to be perfect, and then to make it perfect.
Yes.
Okay.
And that does not mean it all look like what it started off.
Right.
Like.
Very cool. All right. And Lexi, do you want to tell us about your character?
Yeah, definitely. So I'm playing the Deep Apiarist, who is a person who is colonized by a sentient kind of alien intelligence, this swarm of bees. And I'm thinking her name is going to be Gitte, Gitte, and she's actually very much from here. So she's a dark elf who actually is from kind of the city beneath, the bottom of the spire here. And her background is that back when, I guess, I'm not sure the chronology exactly, but either at the time of Trying to Pierce the Heart or in the sequel to that, the weird terrors there kind of destroyed her neighborhood. She was not in a great part of town, and most of the people she knew were mutated and destroyed or carried off in the night or something like that. And so I think I can see her being kind of injured there and having to make a pact with this, macroorganism, this swarm that was able to reconstruct a lot of her body. So she speaks with kind of a hum of all the bees that are built down in her throat, and kind of some of her organs have been stitched back together with wax. And
Very cool.
her kind of goal, I think, also is one driven by enlightenment. And I think she's just trying to figure out kind of what happened, where are the people that she knew as a child. She's now maybe like, I think 17 or so, but is still kind of made this pact and is trying to follow up with it just to figure out what the hell happened.
Yeah, so I think in canon, the kind of the fall of the Vermissian was over 100 years ago, but
Sure.
because it's heart, I will leave it to you whether you would like to kind of have whatever's happened to your family or your family and your neighbors have happened recently, or whether you are from that time period and you like that something meant that time did not work right. So, 100 something years ago for everyone else was just maybe a couple of years ago for you, and that maybe adds to the question of what happened. If you're the only person who came back, are they still wherever you were? Have they been taken somewhere else? Why did this happen to you? If that's interesting.
I love that. Yeah, so maybe let's switch that around a little bit. I think maybe, she was injured in that initial time and was kind of put back together by the swarm and has no memories of kind of what happened. It was just like calamity, everything is falling apart, something has gone wrong, and then woke up, I think, probably a few years before our current setting with the supplies to hunt down the heart blood and kind of a need for answers.
Excellent. That's very fun. So here is where I will kind of turn to the audience very specifically and say, hey, this is a horror game. So we're going to be covering a bunch of horror-ish topics. So like, as you may have already heard, like there's some body horror, body transmogrification. We've got kind of a decently wide suite of various horror tropes that we're going to hit. I have checked in with the players and we've prepared a list of lines and veils for what we are comfortable with. But if during play, we're touching on something that is not something you want to necessarily engage with, I invite you to advocate for yourself to, step away from the stream if you want. You can, mute the tab, but leave the volume on. And like, apparently that still counts as a view if that's something that you're inclined toward. If you maybe want to come back and watch the VOD later on, if something is kind of not the material you want to necessarily engage with. The most important thing is that we're talking about how we are raising funds for the Damon Runyon Cancer Research Foundation, which is a good reminder for me to put our current amount from Tiltify onto the stream, which I'm going to do real quick after opening up the Tiltify. I know that we had gotten a bunch of really great here we go. There's the Tiltify. Lots of donations, including a very generous $500 anonymous donation during the earlier segment, which is very cool. We are going to try to keep building and growing above the goal of $4,000 that was set. I believe the record like the highest donation total that we've gotten at an ArvCon in previous years was somewhere in the order of $7,000. So if we could beat that, I know that it would absolutely blow Arv away. It would be a great way to build on what we've done, but we are already ahead of the goal that we've set. And so everything from here is just more funds that makes it easier for Damon Runyon to find and support wonderful scientists who are doing cool out-of-the-box kinds of research to help in the global project in fighting against cancer that these scientists are engaged as a part of. So that's my direct pitch to y'all. I believe the mods have been putting all of the commands and things for how y'all can donate and be recognized as donating at the Tiltify and enter into the various giveaways as they come. I see that Damon Runyon is in the chat, so thank you very much to the folks at Damon Runyon who have been supporting ArvCon throughout this weekend and in the weeks past. So I'm just going to put the text in real quick. I want to ask the three of y'all, how do you think you know one another? Do you know one another? Have you worked on any like missions for Thistleton or someone else beforehand? What do you think?
I think that maybe get to probably recognize, like, approached Mir because he was wearing the plate armor of the Vermisian. I was like, what happened? Like, what, went wrong? There was this big project I heard people talking about, like, up, downtown in the bigger city, like, this thing they were going to do, like, and I think he was probably one of the first people she approached for kind of trying to figure out what was happening in this area. And so they maybe work together, but at least know each other kind of from that.
In a slight deviation from that, Mir might also recognize Barnabas as our local troublemaker who has definitely gotten himself into a variety of places he shouldn't have, out of his own curiosity and or desire to look at other to answer his questions. And so while they've interacted and while it's never been unpleasant, it's also never been like we haven't worked together per se.
You guys are presumably a bit younger, right? So I'm kind of the authority figure, I guess, kind of part of the system.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. So I'm going to give you your kind of mission setup, and then we're going to jump forward real quick. So the ministry, so this is the kind of revolutionary group who are trying to free the Spire from the rule of the Elfir. Like, that's the overall thing, but down here in the heart, a lot of people will end up taking a job from whoever can give them a job, because this is a very hard scrabble, day-to-day survival-based kind of place that y'all are kind of trying to make a living or pursue your various goals in. The Order of the Vermisian Knights has an ongoing, if not necessarily always uncomplicated, relationship with the ministry, because the Vermisian Order's agenda does not necessarily align with either the ruling Elfir or with the ministry, but the Vermisian Knights are very much focused on maintaining the lines, offering safe passage between people, making sure that whatever can be gleaned or learned about what happened to the trains is investigated. And so the Vermisian Knights kind of take on a guardian, bodyguard, guide kind of role for groups pretty often. And I think, Mir, you and, if it's all right to introduce an NPC, your mentor, who is like probably a gnoll in their like 50s or so, with like some graying fur at the snout, and like great kind of many layered scaled armor which is basically taken from a bunch of shrapnel from the Vermissian, where the armor of the Vermissian knights is all taken from plating and other components of the basically whatever's left of the trains that people have been able to recover. And so your mentor's armor is like, okay, well, if you took a couple 100 pounds of just shrapnel and you managed to put it all together and turn it into armor. So instead of like polished, like curved lines, it is this almost like rippling, crackling, like serpent scale armor, but still in the like kind of Western European 15th century, like pauldrons on top of layers and things. And so they are like in the armor, they're 6 foot tall and almost as wide. So I'm just going to put a name of a person here. So this is Kairos. Kairos is they, them. And Kairos has, I think, probably was involved in some of your training. And then maybe there's like a kind of, when there's like a journeyman or journey person stage for Vermissian Knights, you may serve with a more experienced knight as you get to learn all of the routes, because some knights will specialize in just one line and others will kind of travel around. So Kairos has kind of taken this commission from the people of the city Thistleton because there have been waves of Heart's Blood beasts kind of coming down the line from, as far as anyone could tell, some part of the pulse line, traveling along the Vermissian and then coming to attack and disturb the people of this town if in no other way than the fact that there's just too many of these beasts for people to be able to travel from Thistleton to other places down the pulse line, and so that creates problems. And for Gita, there is basically a stronghold of the hive, the kind of the order, the consciousness that the deep apiarists are part of. Thistleton had frequent communication with this part of the hive, and that has been cut off by this kind of large flow of Heart's Blood beasts, because it's just really dangerous to get a message back and forth. So you have a message that has been entrusted to you to hand off to another deep apiarist that you're supposed to meet basically just beyond a Vermissian substation that is between here and this portion of the hive. And for Barnabas, Vermissian technology is among the most advanced in certainly all of Spire and the Heart, and learning about how the Vermissian order kind of put everything together and potentially either with or without the Vermissian order's blessing, salvaging some of that technology, I think would be of great interest to you in kind of learning about what technology can do, what the bounds of science and like supernatural science are capable of, if all of that sounds good for kind of reasons why your characters would be involved in this mission. Okay. Big Boss SNK asks, how does Gita communicate with the Hive? Is it GitHub?
Weirdly, actually, it's mercurial. It's just I didn't think that one through. But yeah, no, I think that there is definitely a consciousness upload where you can kind of like get various forks of the most recent swarm consciousness. I think she's probably a couple of versions behind now that she's been cut off, which is very uncomfortable.
Yeah, well, and I think the conversion control is really important, because if there's changes in frequencies, the bees are communicating using kind of the spiritual and physiological kind of range. And so if your bees get too far off from the rest of the hive, it may become really difficult to recombine and to be able to share knowledge. So that's a note for all of you out here. Version control for your files is very important. Do your updates. Okay, so now that we've got that amusement done, so we start with the three of you plus Mir's mentor Kairos. gearing up, and Kairos, as this kind of veteran Vermisian knight, gives you all these suggestions of here's what you're going to want to have in your pack, and if XYZ happens, then here's what we should do. I've walked this, I've run this path back and forth. Our biggest challenges are going to be a long, tall cylinder that we have to basically climb and make our way up. There are floating like platforms and pillars in the middle. Those can let you move very quickly if you're able to kind of use a rope or something, or I met a blood witch who could fly. It was very useful, but he's been somewhere else for a very long time. Or you can go up the side of the wall, but the trick with the side of the wall is that it's got all these tunnels in and out, and there will be beasts there, so you may be assailed that way. If you stay in the middle of the column, you can kind of maintain a view as long as everyone's back to back, and you can see things that way. So there's a few different ways that you can take there. Once we get up to the top of that, we're onto the pulse line specifically, and then we go through a strange graveyard. There's usually nothing there. It's a decent place to take a stop. And then we will keep going, and we'll hit the substation. At the substation, that is where the deep apiarist will meet us. So you know the route you're supposed to take, you have a guide, you know the kind of the challenges that you're going to overcome, and then we smash cut to the three of you huddled together on one of those platforms in the column, and Mir, you're looking down as hundreds and hundreds of feet below you, Kairos disappears into nothing, having been thrown from the platform by a trio of Heartsblood beasts that are now assailing you. Around Kairos, they had speared with, or they had basically grabbed with a cow catcher from the train. They'd grabbed a half dozen of those beasts all together and was trying to throw them off to lighten the load, but several of the beasts wrapped their tentacles around Kairos, and there was so much weight there that even the inertia and the strength of this experienced knight was thrown off. And as Kairos fell, they shouted up to you, Mir, "Remember the lines!" And then their last words echo, and you cannot hear them hit the bottom. You know that it's hundreds and hundreds of feet down, but time and distance in the heart are strange. So the three of you are left on your own, a third of the way up this kind of giant Metroid level looking thing where in Metroid there's the floating platforms, and why do they float? Okay, well here they're just literally floating because it's fun and strange. So we're going to start with a combat. So this is not like D&D where we have strict initiative rules. Things are a lot more narrative, and whatever turn you take doesn't have to necessarily represent just one beat. You might say, okay, well, I'm going to use evade, and then that evade actually takes place over 15 seconds because we're describing a larger narrative beat, as opposed to in a more strict initiative system where it's okay, on my turn I get to make 2 attacks and I get to move this far. This is much more kind of a slightly more codified version of just kind of telling stories around a campfire. And so what I'm going to say here is you are in an area that has the Cursed domain and the Warren domain. But because there are all of these little tunnels kind of flowing out from the edge of the column, and this is a place that is being actively touched by the heart, and there's kind of a thin waterfall trickle of blood river coming down the side of the side of this kind of vertical tunnel that is the direction that you're going. So I want to ask the group, who among the three of you do you think is the first to act after Kairos' fall to address the kind of the challenge from these Heartblood beasts?
I think it would make sense to be me, given the night, but what if I'm shocked by
Yeah,
his
if
sudden
you've
death?
if you've been traveling with Kairos for months or a year, I could certainly imagine it being shocking. And then the big tanky one of you is kind of momentarily out of commission, and you've got these other creatures coming in at you. I'm just going to scroll down to say, okay, so these beasts that you have, one is a like black-furred goat with hedgehog quills that has been like basically jumping and bounding off the wall and trying to get you with their horns. One is a, let's say, like beach ball sized spider with snakes for legs and poisoned seaweed for silk. So it kind of swung down on like a salty seaweed silk line. And the last is a flying giant mosquito with a syringe for a stinger and bird's feathers, as I hit my microphone here. So these are all creatures that have been warped or created whole cloth from this heart's blood. So that's kind of what you're up against. Each of these basically has their own resistance pool that you can try to basically bring down to kill them or to drive them off. You don't have to attack all three of them at once. The way that you tend to be able to apply stress, you're probably going to want to go after one. Now, if you said, okay, well, I don't want to hurt them. I want to hold all their attention to protect somebody else, and then maybe you create an opportunity. So it's a question of how are you contributing to this scene where overall the three of you are trying to get past or overcome the obstacle of these beasts, if that makes sense to y'all.
Okay.
So Barnabas or Gitta, do you want to kind of take the lead in fighting these beasts here? And if so,
I
what are
guess
you doing?
how close is that big goat one to us? Out of curiosity, like, is it just about to rear up and be a big problem, or we have like maybe a breath or two before that happens?
Yeah, I think the goat, part of why Kairos fell is that the goat had jumped and basically sprung off of Kairos as they were struggling with all these beasts. So it's got these incredible jumps that it makes. And so it's probably 10 feet above you and off to one side. And you can bet that it's about to kind of jump down at one of you again to either try to push you off with a shove or ram into you with the horns.
Mm-hmm.
I think Barnabas, his years of having to like sneak around and be caught out of sorts have allowed him to have his instincts kick in. So I think is going to go for a sneak to find a good vantage point to, like not necessarily abandon anybody, but to bide his time because these things look terrifying.
Okay, so because this is not like directly reducing the resistance of these animals, I want to kind of ask a quick clarifying question. Success for you is Barnabas is safe for the meantime, or is it you learn something or gain some kind of advantage on the beasts? What's kind of Barnabas's primary goal in doing this?
I think. Sorry, my dog is barking in the background. I think that the goal would be gaining advantage in a subsequent action where he's more primed to be able to contribute in the subsequent.
Sure thing.
Subsequent move.
Yeah, so what I'll say is if you succeed here, you're going to be able to grant mastery, which is a bonus die, to yourself or to somebody else in basically facing these beasts, because you'll have kind of gotten yourself up into a position of advantage. We figure out how that applies when it comes up. Does that sound all right? Okay. So yeah, you said you were going to do sneak, and do you have either cursed or warren as domains?
I don't think so. I'm not looking at my character sheet now. I don't think so.
So it looks like you have occult and religion.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
So you'd get one die for everybody starts with one die, and you get one die for sneak. Somebody could assist you in either like taking, basically giving you cover or something else if somebody wants to, but if you assist, you are opening yourself up to stress if the roll comes with a consequence. So for either Gitta or Mir, are you assisting Barnabas as he's kind of scrambling up to get an advantage?
I don't think I'm... Oh, go ahead.
Oh, please, yeah.
Oh, no, his action or his movement shocks me into finally, I finally attacking. So,
Okay.
but Lexi, you go first.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I think, yeah, I think probably Git is fairly overwhelmed here and is going to be kind of like, you know, backing off, but also like preparing to release the swarm as far as kind of a defensive, kind of like not trying to kill them necessarily, but just
Okay.
like confuse them. So
Sure.
that could either be its own action or a supporting action. I could see that going either way.
Yeah, I think if you were assisting, we can
Mm-hmm.
represent that fictionally as you're doing release the swarm, and the first thing that it does is it provides some cover, and then we can let you use the move itself when we come around to you, and you won't
Gotcha.
have to have like taken any additional penalties or whatever, because
Totally.
in a story game, we can basically follow the fiction. Like, oh, okay, if Good is beginning to release the swarm, that's going to draw the attention of some Heartswell beasts. And then as long as, Lexi, you're okay with your character kind of getting exposed to that risk, then
Sure.
that can grant Barnabas a bonus. So, Sucrit, what you're going to do is you're going to go up to the area by roll, and you're going to put in sneak, which I see that you've already done, and you, if you put cursed, it should not give you, like, basically it won't give you the bonus because you don't have cursed. And so we're going to test the roll 20 here to make sure it's rolling the right number of dice, because that's sneak plus cursed or Warren, but you do get +1 because you're getting an assist from Gitta.
Okay, so
+1.
I don't check mastery, right?
Correct, because that would be if you separately had something that would give you a bonus. This is standard, which is the normal difficulty. There is risky, which is harder, and dangerous, which is much harder. But these are just standard opponents. And now you should be able to click roll. Okay, so Barnabas had 3 dice, 1 from normal, 1 base, 1 from sneak, and 1 from the assist, and rolled 10, 5, 5. 10 is a critical success, which is it's the best thing that you can do. And it says increase outgoing stress die size. And what I'm going to say for the critical is that in addition to being able to grant mastery in this combat, Barnabas, do you have a delve item?
A delve item. I do not.
Okay, so you've got the overstuffed coat and you've got a blunderbuss.
Yeah.
So you are on a delve right now, but I opened with the combat. What I'm going to say is, because you got a crit, you can roll a d4, which is the basically, if you don't have a special delve item, but you succeed in something that will help on a delve, your stress die is a d4. So in addition to helping in this fight, you've scouted out some of a path up this column that is going to help everybody move more rapidly and overcome the overall challenge. So if you want to give me a d4, I will mark that much stress off of the delve.
So should I do just roll a delve, or should I just do roll d4?
So just roll d4. Delve is a skill, and then delve is a you can be on a delve.
4. Oh.
145.99. All right, just a second. I'm updating the donation ticker real quick. 61. Come on. And we are at 61.45.99. Thank you for the note there to update it, and great job to everybody for your wonderful donations. We are over $6,000 for the Damon Runyon Cancer Research Foundation, which is fabulous. That puts us at about, I think, $1,400 or so away from the all-time goal. If somebody in chat knows the record donation total that we're trying to beat, less than $855 from the record. That is totally doable in the next 2 hours. Let's go. So that is that. Record $7,000. Did we get that D4 for the delve? Okay, just 1, but that's 1 fewer stress than the delve had previously. So I'm going to mark down this delve resistance by 1, and you have gotten yourself safe. You are in a position to give somebody a bonus, and you've scouted some of that route that will make the rest of the delve easier, which is excellent. We can come to Gitta if you want to proceed on releasing the swarm.
Yeah, sure thing. Okay, so yeah, so I think kind of what that has entailed so far is just like kind of falling back a little bit like towards Mir and just like kind of like screaming like get away from him. But as she screams that, kind of her voice deepens and buzzes and just a swarm of like these kind of white sort of like ghostly bees pours out of her mouth and starts swarming. I think towards the goat because it was the last kind of thing to act and be a problem here, and just kind of will start buzzing around it and kind of just like stinging it and essentially just trying to knock it off its perch. Make it lose its footing, or again keep it too distracted to be able to fight back. Since I know Mir, once he gets into action, is going to be really able to do some damage. I think now I'm just trying to soften it up. So yeah, so I guess should we just roll that from the ability, or is that how do we do that mechanically?
Yeah, let's look at release the swarm real quick. So this says gain access to the following weapon: kill D4, spread ranged. So attacking with it still involves the kill skill.
Sure.
So I'm going to let you use hunt here because I think it makes sense.
Okay.
It's still a kill attack. People who are watching, if you don't know heart, I am bending the rules here. So like it, just understand that we're doing that here just for the sake of the one shot. So you can roll hunt, and either cursed or warren are the domains that apply. And if is this where Barnabas is providing assistance through the mastery, and if so, how do you think his vantage point is helping here?
Maybe I could be making a call out of some kind for like my vantage point allows me to see more angles of where their weak points might be, where are best for the bees to strike, and I can make that call out, or like make some kind of signal or something, depending on what the most reasonable form of communication across the distance is.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. So Lexi, why don't you go ahead and give yourself a +1 from that. So this does not expose Barnabas to danger because it is a bonus being granted by this previous thing. But it's as if you got an assist.
Cool. Okay, great. So yeah, so hunt, I'm just going to roll. I don't have any domain masteries, or I don't have any domains that are relevant here. So I will just roll that from hunt. And yeah, I think that hunt is a little, I can see how that's bending it a little bit. I think this is definitely like I'm carrying them and I'm preventing them from being able to stay in the shadows is kind of the motivation. So yeah, and it's going to be just standard, right?
Yeah, all
awesome.
of these beasts are just standard opponents.
Marvelous. Okay, great. Oh, success at a cost. Perfect.
Okay, so when you get a success at a cost, we're going to have you do the thing. Basically, we're going to roll for what you tried to do, and then we're going to see how much stress it cost you, just in terms of order of operations. So you succeed to do your thing, which means we're going to look. Your attack is a D4 in terms of the stress that it does. Did I put release the swarm on your sheet as an attack? I did not.
Yeah, it's not as an attack, no.
Okay. So what you can do is go to the Roll20 chat and just do /roll 1d4. Look at that.
All right.
Okay, so because your ability has ranged and it also has spread. So what I'm going to say is that you're actually able to hit both the goat and the mosquito with that attack, which is fantastic. So I'm going to go and I'm going to update the resistance of both of those enemies. And you can all see that as this swarm of like occult glowing white bees move in eerie harmony and synchronicity and kind of are harrying and stinging the goat and the mosquito. And so we've got like kind of a bee combat here, and the Heart's Blood mosquito's wings are now riddled with these kind of red sores from the bee stings, and the goat is just covered in welts. A few of the kind of the deep apiarist bees get caught in the quills, and so it's cost you a little bit, but this is all just fiction. And I think it's as much a representation of how incredible of an effect that you had here in kind of getting that maximum damage on both of them. So very nice. So it's been a couple of beats. How is Mir feeling? Is it time to enter the fight?
The action has shocked me into action. So I guess can I pull out my scrap sword?
Absolutely.
Oh, you're muted.
Yep. Trying to do too many things at once. Yeah, so what do you think? What's a scrap sword to you? What sounds cool?
I guess to me it's like maybe one large piece of metal that I got maybe off the side of a train, and so it might say the train's name on the side, or at least part of what it was. So it's just one kind of unbroken piece of, yeah.
Do you have an idea
metal.
of what that train's name was? I could imagine.
I don't know.
Yeah, the train names are probably something, because I think the line was commissioned by the Elfir, so it would also have like a really flowery name, probably like a long flowery name. So maybe this was something like. So I have other train names in my head from an actual play of Heart, and I don't want to replicate that because that's silly. How about the Onyx Owl?
I like it.
And so this is a train that was all painted black. Probably not a great idea in an all contained train line, but Elfir, there's probably some deep cultural aesthetic thing that this manifests out of, and Mir could explain it if we weren't all in a fight.
Should I also activate my armor plating? Is that a thing that I should do, or?
Let me check here, because as a Vermisian Knight, you have kind of a lot of your powers emerge from your armor. So the armor plating is just a passive +2 blood protection.
Okay.
So if you are going to take blood stress, you'll get to apply that protection. So you're just very tough in a fight. What you have is, so you have the kill skill for sure, and it's good to know that you have something that will let you basically protect allies once per situation. So basically this fight is a situation. When an ally within arm's reach would mark stress to blood, you can mark an equivalent amount of blood instead. You basically jump in and protect them. But when you are attacking, you can just use Kill Warren here, because you have both of those. Your Vermisian plate has a bunch of different abilities that you can use. You could use a resource to then do one of those things, but you are in a great position to just straight up make a kill roll, because you're getting both of those bonuses.
Yeah, I think that's what I'll do. So I just whip out my Onyx Owl sword. And how far is the spider bag from us?
Yeah, I think the spider has climbed to the underside of one of the platforms that's directly above you, and is currently lowering itself with its like snake legs, kind of flailing at you. The kind of so the snake heads have spider eyes, and they're kind of biting down at you.
Okay.
So you could it's certainly getting into the range of your sword.
Okay, is it the closest one in range, would you say? Okay, then I think I will take a swipe at the spider.
Okay, so
I do Kill Warren standard roll?
Yeah, it should be giving you 3 dice. Okay, that's another 10, wow. So that's 3, 2, 10. 3 bad, 2 worse, 10 awesome. So when you get a crit and you are doing damage, you get to increase the size of the die that you roll when you're doing damage. Normally your scrap sword is a d6, is that correct? So instead you get to roll a d8, and that's going to be the amount of stress that you do. Does your scrap sword have any other tags, like brutal or something like that? No, looks like it's just kill d6. Okay. So if you rolled the die on the line, it would probably only give you a d6. So instead, I'm going to suggest that you go to the chat and do /roll. And that's all as if it were one word. Space 1d8. The D being the letter D. Top is forward. That one. Look at. Roll 20. I'm looking right at you, roll 20. Good job. So that is an 8. So yeah, what does it look like as Mir just completely takes this Heartsblood spider apart?
Well, I mean, it took me all this time to kind of gather all my strength in order to get one gigantic swing dead on the center of the spider, and it explodes. Yeah, it's surprisingly just webbing inside. You'd think it would be blood, but it's entirely just sticky webbing that does stick to my sword, but I have so much motion that it flings off at the end, so leaving it untouched.
Very nice. All right. Yeah, I'm just not.
Oh, you're muted. Sorry.
There's a new background that we can get to put on that says 2022, but it's not downloading for me. And trying to do that and GM at the same time is not working. So I maybe we'll be able to fix it when we take a break here in a little bit. So yeah, you've got the spider is completely taken care of. Basically, as it dies, it bursts and changes color entirely into heart's blood, and makes the sound of rainfall, but like really peaceful rainfall as it lands on platforms below, totally incongruous to the hectic vibe of this fight because the heart doesn't make sense. And so now you've got these two other Heartsblood beasts that are on the ropes. You might be able to move around them if you want. You could crush them entirely if you like. I would say to Gitta, the hive is a direct antithesis to the chaos of the heart. So you will, if you had stress, you would get to, oh, right, we do need to do your stress, don't we?
Yeah, I was going to say,
that. Yeah, so let's go back and get your stress, because then if you kill one of these beasts, you might get to remove that stress. So, sorry, I got out of order of operations because I was excited to get our knight involved here. You got a success at a cost. The stress die of this area is a D6. And so I think that this is going to be stress to fortune, as like you're deploying such like a spiritual force against the heart that it's pretty gutsy to stand against the heart. So it may take a toll on your luck stores.
Cool.
Yeah, so there's 5 types of stress in this game. There's blood, which is just like physical damage. There's mind, which is like mental stress that might like make you break and run because you're scared, or it might like create hallucinations or something. There is supplies stress, which is like, oh no, I'm out of rope, or I don't have any more pitch for my torch. That kind of like darkest dungeon supplies stuff. There is echo, which is the power and the force of the heart exerting its will on you. And then the last is fortune, which is like your luck running out. So I'm going to roll 1d6 here, and that's going to be how much fortune stress Gitta will take, and then we'll see what happens there. So I'm rolling 1d6, so that's 3 fortune stress. Do you have any fortune protection?
I do not, no.
Okay. So on your stress, you're going to mark 3 in the area that is for fortune, and then I want you to roll a fallout test.
Okay, super. No fallout this time.
Great. So I'm just going to update our donation total real quick, and then I'm going to take a look here. Great. So we are up to $6,257.10. Very, very cool. And now I hop back over. And so you got a 6 against 3 stress. You rolled higher than the amount of stress you had, so you are still good. Which means that if you wanted to go ahead and finish one or both of these beasts off, you have an ability that would let you recover some stress.
Oh, okay, interesting. All right. Gotcha. Yeah, I would definitely. Oh, yeah. Once per session, when you eliminate a heart's blood creature, you can remove stress. Awesome. Hunter of the Damned. Yeah, fantastic.
So I will say
Yeah,
because that's once per session, you
yeah,
can save it if you want.
right.
Stress in heart has kind of a push your luck element, where
Mm-hmm.
when you roll Fallout test, you compare to the total stress that you have across
Sure.
all 5 resistances. So you might pick up a little bit of blood stress, a little bit of mind stress, and then you go, okay, 2 here, 3 here, 3 here. I'm testing against 8, not just
Yeah.
stress in any given area. So it might be good to just try to clean out that 3 and get back to 0, or you might want to wait. That's up to you. I don't want to force the choice on you, and make sure that you know the kind of the stakes.
Yeah, totally. Well, I guess if there's any mind stress, I know I can channel that back into the hive here. So I am gonna go for broke. And I need to take him down first to see whether I even get that chance, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think if it falls to me, I think this is maybe a great opportunity to sort of now, mutely, without that kind of, with my bees all now fighting these things, probably pull the hunting rifle off of her back, which is much longer than she is. I see it as being maybe 5'2", maybe.
Okay.
And so this is very large, kind of rifle. She pulls back and then kind of now soundlessly, instead of screaming defiance or anything, just kind of very slowly and methodically lines up against this goat that is being, pecked with all these, stinging bees, and just try to line up a shot and, go for it there.
Okay. Yeah. So again, this will be kill or hunt, and a Warren or cursed.
Yeah, I think hunt would definitely be better for me, but I don't mind cheating a little bit on that one, I guess.
Yeah.
And so sure, I'll do that. So just kind of line that up and take the shot. I don't think there's anything else being a benefit for me there. So
Yeah.
failure takes stress. I love it.
Okay. So yeah, this was a little bit risk. This is getting a little greedy. Okay, if you succeed, you'll maybe get rid of all your stress.
Exactly.
But you don't have the situational advantage from Barnabas, because stuff has changed, and I think what happens is you line up the shot, and you're kind of getting tunnel vision on the goat, and
Sure.
the mosquito comes in and is going to swipe you, I think, for some blood stress.
Awesome.
So I'm going to roll 1d6 again, because when you fail, I apply stress based on the area, and this area is d6.
Gotcha.
So that's going to be 4 stress to blood.
Solid.
Do you have any blood protection first?
I don't have any blood protection, no.
Okay. Here's where I'm going to say, yeah, go ahead.
I step in to protect you. I step in front of you with my armor plating. This has just pieces of letters. So it doesn't spell out a train name or anything, but it is.
Yeah.
It does take the hit.
Okay, so when you use your Night Protector ability, you're going to mark that 4 stress to blood, but first you get to take your blood protection away. So how much blood protection do you have? Should be at the top of your sheet.
2.
2, okay. So instead of putting 4 into the blood stress box, you should put 2, because the 2 protection comes off first. But now you will have to make a Fallout test. We're going to roll a d12, and you're going to try to get 3 or higher, because you have 2 stress, and you want to roll more than the stress that you have.
So I press the follow test button.
Yeah. Cool. 9
No
versus
problem.
2. So, yeah. So Mir, you maybe had a broader view of the fight. You're able to step in, and the syringe stinger kind of scrapes along the armor, and maybe just nicks you a little bit. So you've got a little bit of blood at the neck, but without the armor, it would have dug deep into your shoulder. So it's good to have train armor. But because the roll was a failure, both the mosquito and the goat are still around. This is not a video game where you have to kill the enemies to proceed. And we know that Barnabas is farther up. So I'm going to put it to y'all. Do you think your characters would keep on fighting, or do you want to try and get out? And I'm going to come to Barnabas to see what he's up to.
Well, I see that my companions are very much in the thick of things, and I'm slightly removed. So I want to try and take advantage of the moment and get in behind them. But they're also very close to one another, so I don't want to risk firing my blunderbuss. So instead, I'm going to use it as a weapon, as a club.
Oh, sure.
We're using Fire of the Red King to set the mosquito on fire when I hit it with my blunderbuss.
Very nice.
So I guess, I mean, there's an argument for sneak because I'm coming in behind them and they're all in the thick of it, but I understand that there's a better one as well.
I think that totally makes sense to me. I have seen in other games, be like, okay, I'm gonna fight by doing endure, because I just get straight into the thick of it and they're all focusing on me and I'm just kind of hacking and fighting on stamina. So coming in with a sneak, you already had gotten yourself out of the thick. I think that totally makes sense. So this would be, you could do sneak plus Warren or cursed as previous.
Okay, so let's do sneak plus cursed. It's the same as before. It's standard still, right?
Yeah, standard.
Okay, cool. Roll. Success.
Very cool. So on a 9, it's just a pure success. You don't get the extra outgoing damage from a crit, but you're just going to do your unarmed damage to them, and you're at range, so you get just a clean hit on them.
And so it conjures flames on the clothing and bodies of the target, I guess.
So are you attacking the mosquito or the goat here?
I guess was there a way to tell prior which one looked worse for wear?
They both look like they are just barely clinging to life.
Okay, I'll do the mosquito then.
Okay, so I think those like feathery bird wings catch fire, and with the wings burned away to nothing, the mosquito just tumbles and the syringe cracks and it disappears out to wherever the down was that maybe isn't where down used to be. So that's very good. There's one left if you want to unfortunately, Gita has not been the one who has done the finishing blows on these, so you're not getting that bonus. But then I will ask the group, do you try to just get away from the last one, or you do want to finish off the goat before turning back to your delve? What do you think you're doing here? Like, are you communicating about this? Did you make a plan before we cut in of we have to get rid of all of these first? What do you think you're doing here?
I'm pretty mad that these things killed Kyra, so I think I take a really big swing at the last goat.
Okay, so when you're doing these actions, you can get assistance, and I'm going to be generous here, and I'm saying, here's the bargain I'll offer you. If you expose yourself to risk by assisting, I'll let you use that move if you succeed. How's that sound?
Yeah, no, I'd love to.
Okay, so we've got the two on the lower platform. You're kind of teaming up, and the goat is huffing as it kind of climbs and is much more strained in its various jumps, and it tries to kind of get around and bounce off a wall and kind of come at you, but the two of you are there and you're ready for them. Mm-hmm. So why don't you go ahead and give me that roll, kill and cursed or Warren, and you get plus 1d from an assist.
Very nice.
Okay, that's another 10. You absolutely did not need all of that. Why don't you go ahead and roll a d8 because it'll feel good. You only needed to do one stress to take this goat out. And after we know what that is, we'll come back over and see. So 7. Yeah. How do the two of you dispatch this goat in spectacular fashion?
So I think I'm just going to be assisting by continuing to have the bees buzzing around it. So it's maybe like flailing a little bit and off balance.
Maybe the bees like lift it up so that it, is perfectly speared by Valonix Owl.
Great. So the goat is impaled on the scrap sword, and all at once, the only sound in this kind of giant vertical tunnel is the kind of trickling pitter patter of the blood waterfall off the side. So that is a situation. So if you have any once per situation moves that you want to apply that you think would make sense here, you can. Lexi, if you want to use that hunt move to recover some stress, this would be a time to do that.
Yeah, no, I think so. And I think like in the fiction, kind of what that feels like is sort of get a kind of like, kind of like mutely just like almost like kind of like patting or hugging near a little bit to just kind of like get reassured that like things are going to be okay. Like it's very stressful, especially like having the mosquito come out of nowhere like that, and then just kind of recognizing that we've dispatched this, we've been able to hunt the heart, and they're not going to be able to come at her anymore, which means she's a little bit more confident and like less rash about the situation is I think what clearing that stress feels like. And I think, yeah, let's just roll. That'll be the 1d6, and so we get just a 1 stress release from the fortune. So feeling a little bit more, on top of things, but yeah.
Okay.
Great, but I did
So
that.
yeah, so you can reduce your fortune stress by that amount, and that means that whatever stress you face next, it'll be a little bit easier to avoid fallout.
Awesome.
Great. So you still have the rest of this delve to complete, and at this point we can kind of zoom out a little bit narratively, and we can take actions that are over a longer chunk of time, because the three of you have to figure out how are you going to get up the rest of this, how are you going to overcome the various challenges, and how this is going to work is I'm going to present a world state, and then y'all are going to figure out how are you proceeding in the delve. And somebody's going to make a delve roll or something else that would apply, but probably it should be delve. And then if you succeed, you're going to apply delve stress to this obstacle. And if there's still stress left after your roll, I will narrate forward and I'll present a new state with a new obstacle to overcome. So this is kind of how we can do a montage of travel and make it dynamic and challenging. Which is something I really like about this game. So right now, you are where you were. You still have to get up several hundred feet where you can either climb along the edge, which is tricky in one way, or you have to use ropes and grappling hooks or something to get up the rest of the way. In terms of gear, this is a very loose game on equipment. So you have adventurer kinds of stuff. If you want to have ropes, that's totally fine. Some of you have delve-specific gear, and if you want to apply that, we just have to figure out how it helps you in this moment.
Can I, I think I'd like to phone a friend here and kind of take a moment to kind of meditate and listen to the humming of the swarm and think about those who came before, because that other deep apiarist must have come through here some way. And so I'd like to maybe use discern to sort of think about kind of what other, pheromones or any other markers that may have been left by their trace. How did they get up? What was the safest path for them? And was there anything we're missing?
Yeah, I love that. That sounds great. So this is still cursed or Warren for the domain. And is this something you think you can get an assist on, or what do you think about that? Is somebody else, is that Barnabas who's already been kind of forging a path? I think that's up to you, Lexi, whether this is something you think can get assist on.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I would definitely, I would take the assistance. I think maybe getting another spotter would help. If Barnabas is interested in kind of just again being a spotter here, but I'm also happy to take it on myself and sort of just let the hive take care of its own here.
Yeah, no, I was actually exactly thinking of that Barnabas would be spotting and trying to look around specifically for maybe grappling points or things to climb on. Included in the sort of standard adventuring gear, is there any kind I'm assuming there's maybe some rope and maybe something we could fashion into a hook of some kind.
Absolutely.
He's gonna start trying to like maybe fashion together something that could act as a grappling hook to
Yeah.
throw on to.
Cool.
Yeah.
So when
I,
you,
I think Gita is also kind of like frail herself. So helping getting around, honestly, would be a huge help just in itself. Yeah.
yeah, so when you assist, to be able to assist, you're supposed to say, okay, well, I have this skill that applies, or I have this domain that applies. So if Barnabas has either discern or Warren or cursed, then we say, okay, this, you can definitely assist here. And I know that Barnabas does have discern, so like that works there. The explanation makes sense. Secret, if you're game with kind of your contribution being like that, as Lexi described. Cool.
Yeah.
So Lexi, with your discern roll, you're going to get that +1 from an assist.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay, super. Alrighty. So, yep, discern +1, and we're still cursed, which doesn't do anything helpful for me here. So, oh man, yeah, this has been rough. All right, so yeah, failure. Yeah,
Yikes.
take stress.
Yeah. So yeah, you gather yourself and you bring, you kind of collect your bees again, and they're kind of humming within you as you resonate, trying to connect with the hive. And what does it feel? What does it feel or look like when Geta like kind of communes with the hive? If you give me that description,
Yeah.
I think I can talk about what went wrong.
Yeah, definitely. So I think from outside, it kind of looks like kind of turning into herself, like a slight glow, maybe translucently through her skin, and you can kind of hear the humming of the swarm. And inside, it's like she kind of lets her mind go into it, and so she's sort of like seeing through the various eyes of everything around. And it's kind of like, I don't know, like I think like Predator or something like that. There's all the different vision overlays, and so I think for her, it's kind of like everything sort of like gets this like simple kind of like just white and black view of like being able to kind of like see in the very simple insect vision, but
Yeah.
also like sort of having like a sense of the smells and order of everything going around here. So she's really opening herself up and is very vulnerable, but also very able to sense everything that's going on.
Okay. So yeah, I think as you're doing this, instead of that like clear, orderly, like steady cam view, like if you're doing ESP and you got steady cam, then like things are in
Yeah.
control. Instead,
Right.
we are in like full shaky cam mode as you open yourself up, and you feel like as if you were at a concert and standing right in front of the speakers. There is a hammering on your sternum. To a heartbeat, but it is an arrhythmic heartbeat. So it is like pum 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 pum, and there's this chaos, and the vision is like all stained red as the heart is basically suppressing your connection to the hive, and you're going to take
Gotcha.
some echo stress here.
Oh, hey, awesome.
And I think how this applies to Barnabas as well is that as you're kind of like fashioning things, there is just like molassesy heart blood that is like streaming from one of these tunnels and comes like splopping down on you like it is slime in a Nickelodeon show. So I'm going to roll a 1d6 for echo stress for each character, because you basically suffer it individually. So I'm going to roll for Geta first, and if you have echo protection, you get to apply that. So that's going to be 4 echo stress for Geta, and then I'm going to roll for Barnabas. And 6 stress for Barnabas.
Geez.
So for each of you, after you apply that stress, you're going to do a fallout test, and that's comparing against your total.
Yep.
So, all right, here we have our. Go ahead.
I have a +1 echo protection, so that means I get a total of 5 echo stress.
Yeah, so you take your echo protection away from the total. 6 minus 1, you take 5, and then that 5 is what you're testing against. So, all right, 11 versus 5 for Barnabas, but Gita, you're going to take an echo fallout here.
Yeah,
So
love that.
I'm going to look up where the fallouts are. So these are all very flavorful and gross, and there's a bunch that are listed, but then you can invent your own. I think I'm probably just going to pull from what we already have. So on Echo, interesting, lots of cool, weird, creepy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think Geta is going to take the Fallout Hex Eye, which says your vision swarms as you start to perceive worlds other than your own layered on top of one another. Any action that you take that requires accurate judging of distance becomes risky. Once per session, you see something useful. Ask the GM what it is. So this is an ongoing Fallout that you'll have to remove by being able to do like mend or stopping at a haunt. But remember that one time you can ask me a question of something that you see, and I'll give you something useful.
Bad. Love that.
So yeah, I think that like a double exposed film, you're getting this kind of the red heartbeat. And if you know, did you watch the original Evil Dead movie? Where you get
not for so long.
So
yeah,
there's like a camera technique that they pioneered that where it's basically like the you're seeing from the perspective of the evil as it's like soaring and swooping through the forest, and you're getting this kind of like disorienting, moving view, which is this the view of a creature? Is this something else? Like another presence is feeding you sensory data and trying to connect to you.
Gotcha. Okay, awesome. I really love that. So yeah, so I think she kind of reels and falls back. I guess there's like not the pillar, we're in a suspended platform, so maybe like kind of like falls a little bit and catches herself before she falls off. It's like, I saw something that I don't think I was supposed to see. I'll be a few minutes, and just kind of like sort of falls back and sort of just processes that information and is silent for a while.
Okay, so yeah, so Mir, the other two tried to do some stuff, not necessarily sure what it is. I'll leave it up to you whether you think you've got a sense of it, but it's, you're the three of you are still in the middle of nowhere, and you're a knight, and you've got a job to do. What are you going to try here?
How far are the other platforms, both, I guess, in height and distance?
Yeah, they range from between like the closest are like 5 feet apart, where you can probably make a decent jump if you're healthy, and that type of mobility is not a problem. Some are farther away, 10, 15 feet away from one another, and they're usually 10 to 20 something feet apart. You've got enough rope and other things that you feel confident that you could do that, but it's going to take some doing. I note that, or I gave that character a Mage Light rig, which is delve equipment. So what Mage Light is, I would leave to you. Do you have an idea of what you think Mage Light is and how that might help a knight in kind of delving through the heart?
I guess I was picturing it as some kind of like a lighting thing, but maybe it's actually powered by Mage Light or something, and it's actually some kind of accessory to my body armor that allows me to carry both of them at the same time.
Oh, okay. So like
as we jump from platform to platform.
Yeah, so it's like almost like a harness or something that people could grab onto. Yeah, I think it's fine for it still to be able to provide light, because what this Mage Light rig is, it is delve equipment that says when Mir does a delve and succeeds, instead of doing D4 stress to the delve, you get to do D6. So yeah, what does that look like as you kind of help gather the group and move forward?
I guess I'm using a official Mage Light carabiner to hook on Geta and Barnabas, I guess, maybe to my back. And then I am quite large, and so I think maybe like a jump assist kind of thing happens, and so I jump certainly to the nearest platform that is also up. But I'm, I don't know. Barnabas, can you tell me more about how much further we have to go? I know you got a good luck.
I guess should I then use a discern skill maybe, or do I already kind of have a sense?
It's probably between 100 and 200 feet up from what you've judged. keeping an eye on our time, I don't want to keep you all in the delve too long because I've got a couple other things to get to, and I want to make sure to use the scenes that play into everybody's specialties. So, you've got some up to go, and then there's a bit, a little way to the knife graveyard, and then beyond the knife graveyard, the next kind of landmark is that substation that you're trying to get to figure out where these beasts are coming from, because that's the farthest back anyone has been able to trace this blood river. And the substation is also where Gitta is supposed to meet the deep apiarist. So that's kind of the rest of the journey that you've got ahead of you.
So to kind of help, because I can see that there's a couple 100 feet in front of me, but assuming we have enough rope to help us at least along the way, and using Mir as my anchor, could I fire my faction to grappling hook for my blunderbuss?
Sure,
And
I think.
give us a little rope line.
Yeah, that makes sense. Is this as an assist to Mir's delve?
Or either that or a discern, but that would be
Okay.
separate.
Yeah, I
either
think-
or. I don't know which one would be making the most sense.
Yeah, I think if you wanted to do a discern cursed or discern warren, you can use the you can use a D4 against the delve. I think it's a little bit of a stretch to let you use the whole equipment die against it, because it's a little bit of a stretch. But yeah, you can do the discern roll there, and maybe that will give us some fiction from which Mir can kind of climb everybody up.
Okay, so should I just do a roll / roll 1d4?
So you'll need to make the discern roll first.
Oh, okay. So I do the discern roll first. Okay.
Yeah,
So
because whenever you're
discern
trying to
first.
overcome a delve, there is that risk of
Okay.
the random bad stuff happening.
So discern first, standard roll. Oh no.
Ooh, 1 and a 3. Yikes. Yeah, I think that like red molassesy goop. It's not like kind of washing off you. It's climbing up your legs, which is no bueno.
Very distracting.
Not so great. So that is going to be one more stress to echo.
Oh, that could cancel out.
Okay, so what does your echo protection come from?
It says warding spells.
Okay, so what is is there a visual representation of your warding spells?
It's like thinking like hockey pads, but that I've like kind of carved into it little runes and symbols
Okay.
that may or may not have meaning to anyone else but me,
Okay.
or are just like little sketches of things I've seen.
Yeah. So I think that kind of the goop climbing up your legs, it kind of distracts you, and your kind of grapple shot bounces off the edge of one of the platforms, and you have to kind of spend some time reeling it back in. Mir, these clowns can't do this. This is up to you.
The disorder of the battle and the chaos of the battle and everything else that's happened has irritated me enough that we get enough power to just jump with the Mage Light rig up.
Okay.
Kind of going platform to platform.
Very cool. So yeah, this would be delve plus
Delve
curse
and
or
warren.
cursed or warren. Yeah. All right, so that's a 9, just clean hit. You get to take D6 stress off of the delve with your Mage Light rig, so you can go ahead and roll 1d6. 5. Boom. So yeah, we get this montage of Mir with the two others kind of clung to his back, holding out of that harness, and then like kind of power armor Super Mario going whoop whoop whoop, and kind of the camera pulls back as we get a good 30 seconds of these jumps, and we cut forward to the group is now in basically a tunnel and track of the Vermissian. So there is the kind of this heart blood like shallow river trickling over the tracks. Like you can still see the tracks that are there, and the tunnel is probably 50 feet wide and as tall. And you have to go down this tunnel to get to the knife graveyard, and then beyond that is the substation. So there's a moment here before I introduce the next scene. If anybody wants to talk, some of you have mend equipment or the ability to use the mend skill if you want to like patch yourselves up or address any of your stresses. How's everybody feeling?
I think I only have mint supplies, so because I have an overstuffed coat. I don't know if anyone needs any supplies mending.
Now, I think it's mostly been blood. We've had blood, fortune, and echo stress. So does anybody have gear that will address any of those? So let's see. So Gita, you have mend, but you don't have mend gear. That means that when you succeed at mend, you remove D4 stress instead of more,
Gotcha.
but you still do have that ability.
Okay. Yeah, gotcha. And yeah, I can also, I guess I can repair technological devices. I don't think that's exactly something we need to worry about right now. Yeah, gotcha.
That may come up later, you
Yeah.
suspect.
Yeah, good to know. I
Are
think,
you guys
yeah.
still attached to my back? Do you guys want to hop off, or do we want to just run down this tunnel? What do we want to do?
I like that option.
Okay.
I'm
How
fully on board.
is this something that you've trained at doing, Mir? Like carrying this much extra weight, or is it that much extra weight for you?
It's really not. I mean, Gita's pretty small. Barnabas, I don't remember. You said you're kind of a,
Small, wily human.
Okay.
So
yeah.
Okay.
So I think it's within my training range of, train engine hauling.
Sure, yeah. I imagine that the Vermissian Knights do a lot of the like football weight training kinds of stuff where it's like
Yeah,
you're having to push
pushing
the things.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense to me. Do you have the endure skill? Because it sounds like you should have the endure skill. Maybe that's something.
Don't.
Well, that's a place you could certainly get an advance toward. In Heart, in the normal progress of Heart, each character has what are called beats, and this is the way that you advance and get new abilities. It's a really fun system that I didn't want to take too much time on here, but I want to talk about it a little bit because I do think it's fun. In your calling, you have like, okay, here's your ultimate goal, but then there are beats along the way. So if you were a character who is seeking enlightenment, you might say, okay, along my path, I'm going to tell the GM I want to gain access to knowledge that someone tried to conceal. And beats are kind of like a plot wish list that then the GM uses to build scenarios. And this is the player getting to say, here's elements I would love to see in my character's story. And then hitting those beats as the character lets you as the player pick advances where you get more abilities and things. The characters don't necessarily know that they have beats. Beats are kind of player to GM communication, which I think becomes really interesting because you get to kind of write the outline of your own character's story. Like, okay, I want a story that includes something like this or something like this. For this, it's a short enough mission that probably if we were to play these characters again, you all would have gotten one or two advances, but I just kind of put those to the side. It's a little bit of an extra thing to have to keep track of, but it's fun to think about. So anybody who's watching and considering Heart as something maybe you want to play, there's that 2-minute version of how beats work. Is anybody going to doing mend? You want to use any other abilities before you move on? You don't have to, because there is still risk, and that's the problem where you're trying to patch somebody else and then things get worse.
I'm still packed pretty full of adrenaline from the battle and
so just kind of
pretty
charging
significant
forward.
loss. So unless they're trying to unhook themselves, I'm just running straight ahead,
Okay.
like Tom Cruise style.
I'm
Cool.
just taking the opportunity to like wipe all the goop off of the grappling hook for future use.
Yeah, sure thing. All right, so you kind of continue, and you come to so there's a part where the train line keeps going, but there's this massive cavern instead of the kind of steel covered circular kind of walls here, and in this big cavern, which is lit by phosphorescent moss that kind of covers the walls and the roof. And that's how, it's much easier to see in here compared to like, needing to use the mage light rig or any torches that you have with you. And this cavern probably goes about 50 feet wide in each direction, and it's about 30 or 40 yards deep before you can kind of continue on the train line to get kind of within shouting distance of the substation. And this is, I think, Mir, you would know that this is called the Graveyard of the Bladed Gods. And it is a place where members of the knife cult have buried their sacrificial offerings, because there is folklore in Heart that if a knife is used enough times to take blood by force, it gets a taste for it. And that at a certain point, knives gain their own consciousness, and they take vessels. They find their way into the hands of people who will then help them take more blood. And the knife cult are the people who are very happy to help them make this happen. And across this wide yard, we have a bunch of graves, and there's cairns, there are some gravestones, a bunch of different burial practices from all of the different cultures that have come to or emerged from or were always in this area around the Heart, because there's a bunch of different practices. And what you realize is that the graveyard is not empty today. It's not just full with all the bodies that have been sacrificed. There are about a half dozen blade cultists all standing around an altar, and you hear the screams of someone shouting, "No, I don't want to! I didn't ask for this!" They appear to be in the middle of a ritual. The question is, are you going to intervene, or do you want to just let them do their business? Mir, you're pretty sure that the knife cult won't come after you if you don't interfere with them. Like when they're doing a ritual, they are doing this thing, but you do have to leave this poor person to their fate if you want to just kind of skip this encounter. So as it becomes clear that there is this person struggling, what do the three of you do?
Culturally, how ingrained in society is this cult? Is it pretty mainstream, or is it like, did we grow up knowing about it, or do we have friends in it?
I think it is known. It is not, like, it would be considered a cult or a fringe religion. It's not as central as like, Christianity in the US, in terms of like, it is normalized. It has a lot of hegemonic power and influence and things like that. But in the Heart, there are a lot of different faiths. And so what any given character's relationship is to these different groups is, I think that is really going to be up to you in terms of, does the deep apiarist regard all of these others as heretics? Does the junk mage say like, I think everybody's a little bit right because clearly their magic works? How does the Vermissian order regard these other groups? I don't know. That's going to be up to y'all.
Given the like street urchin-esque background I described for Barnabas, does he know is the religion knowledge allow him to discern what exactly they're doing that this person is protesting against? Like, is this about to be like a ritual sacrifice? Was it someone who was already in the cult and a long-time member? Are they just like, did I have like friends who disappeared? Would Barnabas have had that kind of disappearance? Because that would like obviously tinge his perception of this.
For sure. This is the 100% a place where discern occult is going to give you a lot of useful information if you want to make that roll.
Sure. Discern occult.
Is anybody else helping here? Is this something where somebody else would want to be contributing?
Oh, I already rolled. Sorry.
Okay. No,
it's fine. Yeah, just off from the hip here. That's great.
I mean, well, when you roll 10s, you don't need help, I guess, right? So I think. So for Barnabas, I think you've had some kind of firsthand knowledge of this ritual done previously. Do you think you were watching from the shadows? Do you think you were observing, like as a officially permitted observer? Were you participating at some point? How is it that you know so much about this ritual?
Most likely I was watching from the shadows because I would be waiting for them to clear out so that I could then sacrifice the resource that they left behind or
Okay.
whatever.
Yeah. So because you got a 10, you know exactly what this is. This is a sacrifice that is being made. This person has almost certainly been kidnapped. They are not willing. They were not a member of this cult, and judging by how the knife looks, you feel like this knife that they are using is very close to basically becoming its own bladed god. It's like this is almost like this is a ritual of apotheosis. If they have one more victim after this person, you think this god or this knife will become one of the bladed gods, which is that means that this is a big deal, and this knife cult would gain significant power if they were able to complete the ritual, which this cult tends to use their power to just get more people to make more knives into more gods. And you are going to get mastery in any roll against this cult or against this ritual because of your crit.
Um, well, I do want to convey all that information to everyone else. So I essentially say like that that person's been kidnapped and that they're definitely doing, not willing to go along with this, and that we I think I definitely tinge my own perception of all this, which is that we can't let one. There's only one religion, and it is the perfect blunderbuss, and we can't have this bladed god coming in and competing with it. So we have to shut down the competition because it's getting too strong here. Um, so I'm still kind of strapped to Mirror though. I haven't actually unhooked myself or anything, but I'm kind of like leaning in the direction of like trying to urge Mirror almost like a horse.
So I'm going to cut in really quick to update the stream. We are at $6,598.33. So we are less than $500 from breaking the all-time ArvCon record in donations. Thank you so much to everyone who has been donating. This has been very, very fun. We are at just about at 3:30, so I think this is a good place for us to take a quick break so that all the players can use the restroom. We can get up and stretch, give our voices a little bit of a break. Then we are going to come back and play until about 4:30, at which point I will hand it over to Arv to kind of give some finishing remarks. And we're going to come back in just a few minutes and see what happens to this trio and to this poor kidnapped would-be sacrifice. So I'm going to go to a title card real quick, and then we'll be back in about 5 to 7 minutes. And I go here. Hello, everybody. We are back with more of Heart of the City Beneath with our lovely Damon Runyon Cancer Research Foundation scientist fellows as the players for our game. They have been fantastic. This is very fun. I'm very grateful to everybody who's watching for your support, being fun chat, helping me keep everything updated as I juggle the very many things. Yes, as I go to the donation ticker and take us to $6,600, which is absolutely fabulous. Thank you to everyone who has been donating. Huge shout outs and a lot of gratitude to your support. As I have said to various people I've been talking with over the last couple of weeks, this month has been a lot for a lot of people, and I could certainly understand many people's donation budgets being already tapped, and yet people are opening their wallets again and making kind of room in their budget to be able to make these contributions and help one another, which is really encouraging and uplifting. So that is super awesome. And now we're going to go back to a very scary place with scary things. That's not the world. It's this other place. And we don't have to deal with those consequences as much because it's a story. So I check this. Now we are at 660666, which is very good for a horror story. I'm just going to update that while I turn it back to y'all. What do you think you want to do about this knife cult and their would-be sacrifice?
Well, I was actually going to tell did we agree to head over? Or I'm not. I didn't want to force that direction. Barnab just kind of cast his vote, but.
I'm unmoved by your religious arguments, but I am moved by the fact that that's something that could have been improving our train system and will now not be able to.
Yeah, also, what do you feel the Order's stance on people doing religious rituals along the train line? They could be tapping into some aspect of the Vermissians' power here.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it's, not allowed activity. It seems like the equivalent of blasting your music without earphones. So I don't approve.
Okay, so I think y'all can still be kind of far enough out that the cultists have not recognized you, but you're close enough that you can go and intervene or go and confront them if you want. It's just going to be a question of what approach you want to take.
I think I'm still attached to Mir, so I'm going to, while we have the distance, unhook myself and start kind of lurking into the shadows and sneaking around a little bit.
Yeah, so before you go, what are you going to do? How are you going to stop this? This is just us, right?
And then I point at the trying to indicate the center of it. I'm imagining a circle of people.
Yeah, there's a circle of people around a kind of if you took a bunch of stone, a kind of ragged stone cairn, but then something has solidified it. It's actually hardened blood that has turned into mortar. And then there is a flat slab of stone, which is where the person has been laid for the sacrifice.
So I point out that that altar over there. I'm gonna wreck it. That way they can't do any more of this funny business.
Can I assist with my scrap sword? Can that be the weapon of choice?
Yeah, I think what I would say is whoever's going to be rolling, tell me what you're trying to achieve, and then other people who are assisting, we can figure out how you are helping make that easier to happen.
I basically am like, you guys distract them, get me an opening, I can take care of the altar. That altar is the way they're tapping into the train lines. So if we destroy the altar, then then they can't do anything, or not easily at least.
Okay. So Barnabas, it sounds like you'd be using sneak here. And how are you going to be destroying the altar, you think?
I have the sacrifice ability, which casts a spell. It's a spell that basically destroys a resource within the occult or religion domain.
Okay, so yeah, normally this is like, I have this resource and I'm going to sacrifice it to protect myself, but
Oh, yeah.
I don't see why you wouldn't be able to use the same stuff to be like, well, of course that altar is a resource. But I think probably doing that would take a little while, so you are going to need some help getting keeping people off of you if you're going to
Yep.
sneak up and try to do that. It's probably not. It's probably the work of a minute or two.
Okay.
So it might be up to the others to keep the cultists off of you while you're doing this. But I think you can do it. It will probably take a roll. I would say probably discern plus occult or discern plus a religion would let you use sacrifice to destroy the altar.
Okay.
But it's going to be, it would be dangerous to do without any assistance because the people are just going to be pummeling you.
Yeah.
So how do you think, for the others, how do you think y'all are keeping the cultists off of Barnabas while he does this ritual?
Well, I whip out my sword and I brandish it and I start citing regulations. Start with "you are trespassing," and then go into the book.
Okay, that's very cool. Yes. Also, like, none of them have any tickets, right? Very cool. How are you gonna be distracting in the same way? Are you gonna be doing something else? What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's going to be the most like positive, active thing that's going on here. So I'm not going to like try to like do another kind of shenanigan. Additionally, I guess what I am going to do is I will be. Oh man. Well, okay, so it doesn't exactly require judging distances, but I was thinking keeping my eyes on the cultists and trying to make out what they're doing and kind of like essentially being another lookout in this situation.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Cool. So we are at 66, 66, 66, continuing our kind of horror-themed donation total. Okay, now that we're at all sixes, we have to keep. We've done the bit. In threes, rule of three. So now we're going to move forward and let's hit 7,000. So yeah, I think kind of talking through. I think Mir or Geta, you should roll first to create the opportunity that then Barnabas will be able to roll rather than treating it all as one assist. So yeah, who wants to go first in terms of like kind of taking and dealing with this enemy's attention? I think it could make sense for it to be Mir, since like it's a very direct challenge here, unless y'all want to do it a different way.
That sounds good.
Okay. So yeah, what you could certainly do kill here if you wanted, but this, it's up to you. I think compel could be, if you did compel, it would be about just occupying their attention. Kill,
Right.
you can be just like cutting through them. What do you think you're going to be doing here?
I mean, I think kill works better with my strength, but I think
Sure.
I feel like I'm just shouting, and so
Yeah.
I know that's a worse roll. But I feel like it's compel.
Yeah, I guess because you're so big and scary, maybe.
Yeah, because I think I could see compel or endure as the things you would roll to just kind of keep them from doing anything else. Like they're piling on you, or compel, you're kind of taunting all of them. If you were using kill, then you're basically committing to end the lives of these cultists as a way of interrupting them, which is that's a different choice.
Yeah, I think I'm going with compel.
Okay.
Compel religion, I guess.
Yeah, so compel religion or compel occult. That does not leave you with very many dice, though.
No.
Okay. So are you going to get assistance from somebody here?
Yeah, I can definitely assist as far as like, I think kind of what that would look like for me is Gita just kind of like being there and kind of like tugging at Mir's sleeve and being like, okay, but like this is the name of their order. Remember, it's like they're this knife god, and like just kind of like having like occult trivia and kind of just like keeping an eye on there. Yeah.
Right, because if you're giving them a citation, you have to do everything right. Like the form has to be properly filled out, otherwise it doesn't apply. That makes perfect sense to me. So yeah, this will be compel occult or compel religion, and then you'll get a bonus from Geta giving you that information. Do you have religion, Geta? Or do you have a cult?
I have a cult here.
Okay, cool. So yeah, with the cult there, you're able to kind of fill in the information about the cult as you mentioned. Cool. Fingers crossed.
Oh, but you should have had an assisting die, right? Or
Yeah, you should have one more die.
So I do +1.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
Okay. So a 7 is success at a cost. So that's just enough better that you're going to get to do it, but it'll cost you.
Okay.
So I think to yeah, so like you turn and are like giving them a ticket or giving them a citation. How do you think they're reacting? You are holding their attention. They maybe are going to come and stab you, but what does it look like as you kind of all the heads turn as you're giving them this ticket?
Yeah, I think they're turning around, and then they're starting to look around and ask what they can throw at me. So maybe like, they're not gonna throw the knives, but maybe they're gonna throw the sheaths. They're starting to like pick those up and getting ready to start pelting me with things.
Okay. Yeah, I think because this is a really, really important ritual and you're taking stress, that part of your success is that a chunk of them turn and are now coming at you with those knives.
Okay.
And so you've created the opening for Barnabas to make that roll, but it is going to be tricky for all of y'all. So this area is only D4 stress, so I'm going to roll a D4 to apply for each of the two characters because of the assist, as this group kind of comes in on both of you. So rolling first for Mir as the person that rolled. No, I messed up my thing. 1d4. Actually do the thing. Ooh. So that is going to be 4 blood stress for Mir as they're just coming at you with those knives. But you do get to take your blood resistance off of that. And
So I add it to my total.
yeah.
Okay.
And then after, then we'll do a fallout test for each character. So this is going to be, I think for Geta, this will also be blood stress. I think it's just very straightforward here.
Sure, that makes sense.
Yeah. And that's just 2 for Geta.
Gotcha.
Now,
Is it possible for Mir to be like shielding me in this situation? 'Cause,
Yeah.
Yeah, with all that armor and everything.
so Allison, if you want to use that Night Protector move, you can just take the damage away from Geta because you have 2 blood protection.
Right, and so there's no more damage done.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you take.
Yeah, I'm just kind of jumping up and yelling behind him, I think. Yeah.
I mean, were you still attached? I guess. I
Oh,
kinda
maybe.
shielded
Yeah,
you.
sure.
So there's just like
Yeah,
a voice
definitely.
head over the shoulder.
You're just whispering in my ears, carabine to my back.
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, so for Mir, you're gonna mark 4 blood stress, but you take your blood protection away from it, and then once you've added that, you're gonna roll fallout test.
Okay, so I'm at 4 total blood. So,
Okay.
yeah. Okay. No
All
problem.
right, so 11 versus 4. So yeah, I think the you've got some long scrapes on your armor that you're gonna need to like bang out with a hammer to get rid of the dents, and a couple of them maybe catch you along like a seam in the armor where you've got just like normal chain or leather or something, and so the scratches and the bangs are starting to add up, but you're still holding strong. But even the cultists that aren't actively mobbing you are still have their attention on the group. One of them is like holding the captive down, but Barnabas, none of them are looking at you.
So would this be a sneak or a discern?
Sort
Sort of.
Did you already roll sneak to get over there?
I did not roll sneak. Should I
Okay.
do that now?
I think they gave you the opening, so the discern part I think is the more dangerous one in terms of like something that could go wrong. This was dangerous because there were so many of them around. I think this is now just risky because you are trying to interrupt a very powerful divine ritual. So
I wonder.
what that would mean is you're going to roll a discern plus a cult, but then you would take the highest die away.
Okay.
But I think if your calling is enlightenment, right? So you have unorthodox methods. You can, once per session, you can just say, no, I got a 6.
Yeah.
You don't have to, but that's an option. But you have to make the choice before you roll.
I'm going to use that in this case. This feels
Okay.
this is highly unorthodox.
Yeah, like
way of dealing with things.
Yeah, so you're gonna succeed, and then we're gonna do stress. Paint me just a little word picture of what this ritual looks like.
I'm imagining basically that they were all in a circle around this unwilling, innocent person, and they basically put all the knives down on the altar or nearby or wherever, kind of in some weird respectfully for their religion way. And so when I creep up, I am basically just putting both hands on the stones to like cast my spell and sort of dispel it. But I'm imagining sort of like it was a kind of a generally emptier area, like maybe there wasn't a grave there or any kind of headstone there, so it was a larger empty area for them to build all of this.
Yeah.
So that would be how I and I just put kind of both hands on the stone altar thing and cast my sacrifice spell and destroy the resource.
So do you think does this kind of altar, does it crack? Does it explode? Does it disintegrate?
Oh, I think it would basically all of the hardened blood that you said was the mortar, and that was kind of the result of their magic. That just sort of liquefies into water, and just all the stones all the rocks just sort of crumble together into a pile haphazardly, and the person just rolls off.
Yeah, like as you said, so the mortar all liquefies and the rocks kind of tumble out. This bigger solid stone falls at an angle, and so it cracks. There's a strong fault line straight through, and it falls apart into a couple of pieces. The knives that were laid down all scatter and kind of disappear into the kind of little rocky piles around from the various graves, and the captive who was basically contained by magical force and the hands kind of slips free and just runs screaming like a bat out of hell straight down the hall, the direction that y'all are going, and is free. And with the sacrifice gone and with their altar broken, the knife cultists scatter, and they kind of disappear into the various shadows at the edge of this area. Maybe they have some hideaways, maybe you've just kind of broken their morale. The power of the knife god is not with them in this moment, and so they're just gone. So, A+, you have saved a life.
You also sacrificed a thing, which is good for your relationship with your gods, right?
Yeah. So
the Red King, I believe, is the name of my patron.
Yeah. So why don't you roll 1d8, and then next time you cast a spell, you're going to have that much protection against stress. And
I'm taking stress also because I incurred the 6.
I'll let you take that protection against what you're rolling here. So 1 is better than nothing.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to roll 1d4 for the stress that you take from unorthodox methods in getting that mixed result. So does 1, you had 1 protection. So it's kind of, your soul is vibrating there for a few seconds, but you're good.
Was this echo? Would this have been echo stress?
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, you got the protection because basically you fed the power of the altar to the spell, which created a buffer against the backlash, which is very nice. So yeah, y'all are able to proceed. Mir, you can lead them basically farther down the track, and the substation is just right up there. And as you kind of turn a corner, you see just like a flood of semi-congealed heart's blood, blood water kind of streaming out the door from the substation that is kind of the source of where all of this was coming from. It is like there is just an open sewer line spewing blood from somewhere inside that substation. And that has got to be where all this is coming from. You see, in fact, little heart's blood beings kind of taking form from the congealed blood. Some of them go climbing off, some of them go flying off, some of them are the pile it's getting bigger and bigger ever so slowly, and like, okay, you don't want to take too much time here because that could become a big problem for you, because it's like if you took a beach ball and cut it in half, like you've got a bubble that big that is taking form, that could turn into like a heart's blood bear if you give it another hour or so. And so yeah, you've got the door to the substation is closed, and it's still that much water, that much kind of blood water coming out. And I think all of you can feel like an itching at the edge of your soul, and you can tell that there is very powerful heart magic inside there. And what I'm going to say is to get inside is going to take an endure cursed roll or endure technology. And if you're using technology, I'd love to hear about how your knowledge of technology is going to kind of let you power your way through here, as if there is like physical force pushing you back in addition to this kind of bloody flood.
I have a couple abilities that I think I might want to pop in at this point. So one is Etheric Field.
Absolutely.
So +3 echo protection until the end of the current situation. Seems like it might be good for the trauma of seeing a blood river.
Absolutely. So what does your etheric field look like when it's active, or is it about feeling? Like, how do you think that works?
I think it's more of a feeling, reminding that I have a purpose. So I think it's less of a visual effect and more of an introspective kind of thing. Does it only cover me, or does it cover everyone?
I would say that if you're willing to take whatever leftover echo stress after that protection, you can use Night Protector on somebody, but it'll be that once per situation thing. If they are close to you, you can extend that etheric field.
Okay. And then the other thing I have is a tunnel rat, where I can hold my breath for a very long time. And so I think this may ultimately end up with me swimming to that door.
Sure, yeah. I think that certainly makes sense. How about Barnabas and Gitta? How are you feeling about this? You going to try and kind of power your way inside as well?
So I guess I'm trying to picture the situation again. So it's like a blood river, not right, and then the door is locked, and there's like a psychic emanation pounding from it.
Yeah. So you turn the corner, and we're again in a kind of a big circular tunnel, and up to one side there is probably like a 40-foot wide chunk that is instead building rather than kind of steel pipe, and so there's like a 8-foot tall door, and then there are reinforced windows, and so like, okay, you can see into the side of this like maintenance area that is the substation, and be like on the inside of the substation, that there would be old Vermissian technology and probably some like power stuff that you could get to, and you would imagine that whatever the other apiarist that you're supposed to meet would be here or would have tried to go into the substation, but you cannot see them just right now.
Gotcha.
So to get there, you would have to basically climb up a small ladder and then walk along the kind of rim at the side of the tunnel, and then kind of walk through this kind of flowing river of blood to get to the door and then get the door open.
Is it just like knee high kind of blood, or is it like are we? Because we're not swimming through it, right? We're kind of wading through
Yeah,
it.
I think it's knee high out here.
Okay. I'd like to. I mean, could I try again? Given the like psychic stress, I feel Barnabas probably wants something more tangible that he can grip onto to help guide him forward, even if there's this mental stress. Could he use the grappling hook again in another attempt to basically act as his anchor to pull him, to like kind of guide himself, since he's no longer attached to Mir?
Yeah, I think if you wanted to roll Delve instead of Endure, you could. It will just flavor the type of stress that I give you. Like I might go to Supply stress to like have that break, and then you're gonna fall. Or Fortune, where you like it breaks and then you fall and you're getting covered in this blood or something like that.
So would this be Delve, and then which domain is this?
Delve and Cursed or Technology.
Doesn't matter.
So anybody that wants to get in, you'll need to make a roll of some sort. Endure is the thing that I think makes the most sense, but this delve that Barnabas is trying, I think, also works. So whatever you would like to do.
Delve first.
All right, so that's also a success at a cost. So yeah, you kind of hook the grapple to the handle on the door, so it's just right there, and you pull yourself through, and there was still some stain of that blood on your boots, and so now it's getting layered over, almost like layers of lacquer. It's going to be really, really hard to get off of those boots, right? And when kind of you get like when the waves of blood break and crest, they form hands with fingers that are trying to like climb up your body. And you're gonna take some echo stress here, which I'm gonna roll as 1d6 because we are in, again, a more dangerous part of the Undercity. So that's gonna be 3 stress to echo for Barnabas. So you can take off any protection that you have on Echo. But yeah, Barnabas kind of charges ahead, like climbing, like pulling on the rope hand over hand. Mir and Gitta, what are you thinking?
I think the hardest thing for Gitta here is always going to be getting across the blood. And so what I'm envisioning, what are the domains of this area again?
This is Cursed and Technology.
Okay, gotcha. Great. So what I am going to do in that case is I'm going to actually send out, release the swarm a little bit, and I'm going to have the bees in me kind of take a little bit of their own resources from my body and hook into the kind of platform of the substation and sort of like adhere really strongly onto I'm picturing like a sort of metal like gratings or something that are set into the tunnel, and use those points and sort of like weave a little bit of like netting of wax that can go from there and give me sort of a like little floating platform that I could run up quickly to get up onto that area. And so kind of like using their natural technology and mending something to put it together.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a great use of mend, because mend is also kind of the craft skill. So you can kind of send out your bees to do that. So yeah, mend cursed or mend technology can work here.
Yeah, mend technology, I think. Yeah.
That's very fun.
Let's see, I should have those marked on my sheet as benefits. Yes, awesome. And yeah, no other bonuses. So that should be 3 dice. Yay, 8.
Awesome. So yeah, on an 8, you just do it, no stress. What is like the wax or the extrusion of your bees look like?
Yeah, definitely. So in this case, it's actually so I think that the way that I picture it, it's the description of this ability is you can synthesize technological devices from wax and extruded bone.
Okay.
And so I think what they do is effectively they're taking a little bit of, in this case, it's not like I have a single bone. I think they're just kind of like sapping some of my own like density there to make it harder. And so it's like a white, almost porcelain little net that's just barely enough for me to walk over, which I can then kind of like, reel up, and then they'll eat again and digest after me. So just think kind of like give me a little pat on the head and say, hey, thanks for the ride. And then kind of like, do this and then run up. Yeah.
Okay. Very cool. So as you're doing this, I think what Gitta does might take longer than Mir getting over. So I think maybe we jump back in time. How is Mir going to get up there? Are you just going to power through? You going to do something else?
I think the etheric field just manifests in sheer willpower of using the suit armor to just. I was picturing it being a much larger river, but I don't think I have to hold my breath if it's just kind of knee high. So I'm just powering, walking through. Yeah. Okay.
So what skill are you going to be using here?
I guess delve in technology.
Okay. Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah. I think.
My suit.
I have the delve skill. I know how to walk through a river of like sub-creator otherworldly blood. Absolutely. Turns to Indiana Jones. You know how to do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So yeah, delve plus technology.
Mm-hmm.
I believe are skills that you have.
Yep, so I get 2 extra die.
Yeah, you should do. You should be rolling 3 dice.
Damn. Wow, 1 in 1,000.
Good.
My goodness!
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
I like.
I'm really
don't-
good at walking through blood.
I heard excitement, so it's like, oh, okay, maybe there's a 10. 3 10s is ridiculous.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so
I'm a very
one,
stubborn walker.
we are over $7,000. We are currently at $7,027.67, which has broken the record for ArvCon. ArvCon 2022 is now the highest fundraising of the ArvCons yet, which is a great precedent to build on. Okay, so this segment has raised the most of any of the segments this weekend, which is very, very cool. We've got about 15, 20 minutes left to wrap, but I think what this means is as kind of Gitta is building this, we're really going to zoom in on Mir. And I think like as you're kind of walking, our attention goes not just to Mir, but to like Mir's inner mindscape. What part of your training with Kairos prepared you to do this, and what did they tell you that you're remembering as you kind of stomp your way up to the door to address whatever has kind of perverted the Vermissian?
Yeah, I think, I think at this point I'm pretty irritated by everything, but activating that etheric field really switched it to become a positive experience. And so it's really just kind of a just keep swimming thing that just keeps mantra that keeps repeating. And so I'm thinking back to, all of the good times that Kairos taught me, it wasn't easy going through that training, but it was super, there were good parts, and it really made me persevere. And so I'm chanting, just keep swimming.
Okay.
Just keep walking.
Yeah, and I think if it's all right with you, that when you were training with Kairos, if you did something well, they would kind of reach out, and their gauntlets kind of left the kind of tough pads of their hands and palm open, almost like fingerless gloves, but it's just all on the upper side. Like there's old Western medieval gauntlets that work like that, and so they would set their rough hands on your shoulder when you really got something to as a touch of affirmation and appreciation. And as you get to the door and just rip it off of its hinges, after Barnabas has steadied, so I'm not going to make problems for you, you just rip the door off. The blood kind of washes and breaks on your armor and doesn't do any problems because this is a bonus effect. It's not anything else. You feel that hand on your shoulder again, and you turn, and you could have sworn that almost for just a split second there, you saw that hand and felt their presence with you. And so as that moment passes, we turn our attention inside, and in here, there's just a fountain of this blood that is emerging from a kind of red-black, what if an ice pick was a foot long, and just jammed straight into one of the circuit boards of this substation. And the blood is just flowing from that. And Gitta, you see that about 7 feet away, up on the console, is the other deep apiarist kind of sat, legs folded, deep in meditation, and there is basically a dome of hexagonal side, kind of white golden energy shield that is protecting the other apiarist from just this intense heart energy, as it seems like they tried to do something about this, but then have kind of fallen back into this defensive position.
Gotcha.
So yeah.
So with the hexi and the pounding of the heart, as I kind of look at this, can I see anything deeper inside the blood? And kind of like as I listen to the pounding of this, especially now that I try to open my mind again to trying to sense this other apiarist by me, what is in my vision?
Yeah, so I think you
Oh, you're muted, Mike.
womp womp. As you kind of zoom in, I think like if this was a show, we'd zoom all the way into the spike, and then when we pull out, there are three figures in the room, and they're other gnolls, but they are dressed in different technology. This is a gnoll incursion team who are a group from a different dimension who make attacks on our dimension. And one of the things that they do, that I think you and the Vermissian Knight would know, and possibly Barnabas as well, depending on your studies, is that this is an incursion spike where the team will cross over to this dimension, and then they try to destabilize your dimension by inserting an incursion spike into a site of power. And this substation is still plugged into the Vermissian, and so it has channeled the power of the still active substation into basically spewing all of this heart blood energy out into the Vermissian line, which is then creating all of these beasts. And you see in that vision what this machine did before it was impacted. So you have an understanding that this was the line switcher. So this basically connected to all of the Vermissian to know where the tracks were pointed in which directions, so that both the etheric energy that kind of moves through the Vermissian, but also the flow of the trains themselves is ordered. So now you have an understanding of what this machine is supposed to do, which will be very helpful in repairing it, or any kind of ritual that you would approach in trying to remove or negate the effect of this incursion spike.
Gotcha. And are the gnolls still there? Or is this kind of a flashback?
This is a flashback. So basically,
Okay.
you tapped your sensation of time started flowing backward very quickly, and so you get the kind of rewind scene of the spike coming out into the back to the hand of one of the gnolls as they talk to each other in this other dimensional language. It's not the same language that gnolls speak here. So if it were a word balloon, it would show up as like neon glyphs or something in a word balloon. And you see as they basically evaluate this area, find the exact right thing to put the spike into to harness the most energy from this substation.
Gotcha. So
And then you see them walk in reverse out from where they came.
Nice. Maybe like a little record going in reverse sound effect to that in the TV show. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I think it calls her like the bees back. So she's like kind of like more quiet and muted while they're doing this work. And then just kind of like feels like instead of like the small kind of like more nervous presence that she normally is, kind of like stands up and kind of like folds outward on herself, and then just like speaking with the humming buzz of the hive is just, this affront to our order is unacceptable, is just disgusted by these interdimensional beings that are spreading the chaos of the heart. This is just nauseating and terrible, and this must be stopped.
Very
Right.
cool. So yeah, to get the substation back to like nominal operation, I think y'all would know that you need to physically remove the spike, which will be dangerous to do, and then you're going to want to repair the machinery. So who is doing what here? You've kind of gotten this declaration from Gitta, and Barnabas, you've kind of got yourself holding on to like the side of the door. Mir is kind of standing astride the door, filled with kind of purpose, breaking and disrupting this kind of flow of the blood river. So who's going to go next? This is definitely something that, some combination of 2 or 3 of you can probably team up depending on what you want to do.
Yeah, and just again, I'm sorry, the main challenge is here we have to get this thing out and fix it somehow, or I'm kind of...
I think the knight specifically would want to fix the substation.
Gotcha.
your mission as a group was find out what's creating these beasts and stop it. So
Gotcha.
if you were being mercenary, like if Barnabas was being mercenary, you pull the spike out, I'm done.
Yeah.
Gitta has an agenda, which is like deliver the message, and then Knight has a different relationship to the substation. So those are your overall objectives and maybe how they interact with you individually. So, what do you think it would take to safely pull a spike, an incursion spike, out of this? Are you going to do some kind of spell? Is this mend? Is this somebody like just, I could see endure. You just like take whatever scary stuff that's going to pour out. Is this about evading the blood to get over to where you can do this? I'm game to hear whatever.
So could I use some of the tools in my overstuffed coat, which is supplies in there for mending, and basically try and craft a spell to convince the tools and the spike to basically extract themselves so that no one has to make any contact with it?
Oh, interesting. Okay, so you're like sympathetic magic kind of a thing where like you do something with a tool and it makes another thing. You try to make that connection.
And trying to like coach the spike out, basically.
Okay. I think that to me I think it almost sounds like compel technology or compel cursed. But if you think you'd use another skill, I'm happy to hear it.
No, I can't argue any others, really. I guess mend would be the only one.
I think mend is fine here. It's funny to think about it as compel because you're like, tools are convincing other tools to do things.
I mean, I don't have skill points in either, so I'll do compel technology. That definitely has some good flavor.
Mir or Gitta, do you think you're in a position to be able to assist here? Like, Mir, you certainly know the machinery that you're dealing with.
Yeah, I think I know the machinery, but I think that comes more into play for fixing it. But I am willing to lend anything, assist. But
it could be as easy as just like keeping Barnabas out of the blood, maybe.
Okay. I will lift him up so that he can just pull on it.
Like help him get up somewhere.
I was also going to say, because like maybe the spike and the technology and the spike removal process better than anyone, so maybe you can talk me through it, and then I can act as like a translator.
Nice. I guess maybe get in the situations is sort of helping direct, and this now kind of like more regal stance is like, I have a vision of what needs to happen, and this is what you need to do. I've seen this. So I don't know if that contributes mastery or what, but whatever forward we can carry from that.
Yeah, I think normally one character can assist at a time.
Okay. Okay, gotcha.
I think we'll kind of stick with Mir here, and then you'll be able to work on the repair.
Perfect.
Yeah, so Barnabas, you're going to get that assist.
So +1 assist for compel technology.
Yeah. Let's see. Do you have anything else that will apply here? Because compel technology is not necessarily in your wheelhouse.
The only thing I have remaining that I don't know about that I could use would be this vial of cursed ink I have, which I don't know what that does, and I can throw it onto the spike in frustration afterwards. But subsequent action.
Yeah, you can certainly sacrifice the ink and roll its die as protection against whatever stress you might take from this with sacrifice, if you wanted, but.
Yeah.
Sure. I guess, like, or maybe like that can be a subsequent, because I don't know what the ink. Does Barnabas know what the ink does, or is it just sort of?
I think you could certainly pour the ink over your tools, and it would kind of give them kind of a stronger magical resonance.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I sort of dip or pour the ink lightly onto each of my tools that I'm using, and a couple of drops onto the nail to help start the process.
Yeah, and I think I'll give you mastery on this roll as well, almost as if you were using the occult domain. So you've got an assist, you've got mastery, and you can roll that d6 and use it as protection.
Okay, so I'll roll
Oof. Yikes. So that was a 3, a 3, and a 4.
Yeah.
So
Then roll the 1d6 for protection.
yes. So you're gonna need it. That's very good. Because I'm gonna roll 1d6 as the stress, and only if I get more than 4 are you gonna have to worry about it. I think this would be stress to fortune, as you are like, kind of. You're really taking a gamble here. It's only 1 stress. I think you basically set yourself in preparations. Some of that ink just like lights on fire and burns, but not enough of it to kind of wreck all of your tools. But you're not making progress here. You're gonna have to either try again, or you're gonna have to try something else. So is that Barnabas acting again? Is that somebody else taking a shot?
Can I try and use something with the Vermisian plate? I don't know how that interacts with this scene,
cool.
but can I like remove it and make it part of my armor? Is that what it's kind of saying?
Yeah, so once per session, when you consume a resource with the technology or occult domains by augmenting or repairing your armor, roll the resources die and choose one of the following. So you can remove stress, you could inflict stress on a Delver adversary. You normally need a higher resource to be able to gain a skill or domain, but what I'm going to say is that I have a resistance total in mind for this spike, and you could, if you have an idea of how you use spare capacitors and wires to like supercharge your armor to do some kind of magic thing and like deal with the spike, then we can make that roll and see if you just are able to handle it without having to roll an action.
Do we want to do that, or do we want to keep the spare parts because we have to fix something after, right? So I don't know.
I think I can probably provide that with my bees, and smoke them if you got them. I think let's do it. In my opinion.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to plug in the auxiliary unit that gives extra power. To about the spike.
So is that like supercharging your armor so you can just pull it out physically?
I think it's a physical thing. Yeah,
Okay.
I think it's just I had this extra battery that, maybe it hurts me a little bit when I use it, but I'm plugging it in because we got to get it done.
So what color does your armor glow when you supercharge it with these additional resources? Is this like the color of the Vermisian line? Or is it something else?
I think it's more of a yellow. I guess I'm picturing it as, kind of like,
Cool.
It's like a gold.
So why don't you roll that 1d6, and you can just take that off of the stress total of this spike.
The 1d6 for the spare capacitor?
Yeah. All right, that's 5. So yeah, 5 is the number I had in my head. So yeah, you kind of you step over the arm, like the wires kind of get. And I'm stealing this from another game, so like this is somebody else's idea. There's like a port in your armor somewhere, and you open it, but if you look inside, there's a whole room with people just feeding coal to a fire somewhere else. Like this armor has some connection to another place where some other members of the Vermisian Order are like keeping your armor going, and so you've kind of given them more to work on, and the armor kind of glows and like is like emanating this yellow yellow energy as you reach over and kind of grab, and like such is the strength of the Vermisian with you that the spike cracks, and as you pull it out, it disintegrates. And the flow of blood stops, and like the rest of it kind of trickles out, and you're left with just a very slim layer on the floor here against the kind of steel bumpy grating of the substation floor, and that like machinery is still like sparking, and the meters are going woo, but the blood stuff is done. So I think one more roll and y'all will be done.
Gotcha. Yeah, just now to go and repair everything, right? So I think kind of what I see happening here is Gita sort of like making the rounds, like a nun through temple grounds or something like that, kind of like holding her hand out and sort of like blessing all the walls filled with components, kind of like letting all the kind of like bees stream behind, putting them back in order the way that they belong before this disruption occurred.
Very fun, yeah, because you have in your mind's eye what this looked like before the spike from
That's
the hex
right.
eye.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yep.
so what action is this?
It's going to be mend and technology.
Okay, I think one or the other of y'all could definitely assist here if you've got mend or if you've got technology.
I could offer the curse of ink again, but it would only offer a cult, but
Mm-hmm.
could offer magical resonance of sorts like I did last time, but that's the only sort of offer.
Yeah. Okay. So I think with that, I think we
I
can
can
get that
offer
flavor.
my experience, I guess, of also how things should be, and I have technology.
Yeah, because you know how this machinery connects with everything else in this substation, which can definitely help there. So, Gita, if you want to roll with an assistance from the kind of the technology talk through from Mir,
Yeah, gotcha.
and give this a swing and bring us home.
Yeah, marvelous. So mend, technology, and that +1 from assisting. So, all right. Yep.
Okay, so that is highest die is a 9. Even if I took it away, you would have a 6, which would still give you a success. So yeah, the kind of the bees start to work, and we could get a quick montage of like Mir and Gitta conferring, and like Barnabas is kind of maintaining kind of like a cult enhancement of this technology, creating like a resonance between the ink and the tools and the bees, because the bees are also like builders and tool users, but the tools they use are their bodies and their their teamwork together, and so you're able to kind of repair and return this this like switch box to working order. It looks a fair bit different than it used to, but this will hold up. And Mir, you're able to like run some diagnostics, and while the trains are still all gone, like this part of the Remisian is back up and running in the way that it was supposed to be. And when this is all, I think, as the blood is like washing away, the other apiarist kind of winds down their ritual, and the kind of hexes one at a time kind of pop out, like basically turn off, and then when the whole dome has turned off, they kind of pick themselves up and wait for y'all to be done, and then come over to Yugita and kind of bow and say, I was supposed to wait here for a message. I turned out to be waiting in quite different circumstances. It is very good to see you, and thank you. And like then turns to thank everybody for kind of helping them out of this situation.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, no, the hive is now reunited. And I think I take their hands, kind of like palms in mine, and sort of like let our components of the swarm start to exchange and communicate between each other. So I don't know if that's necessarily vocalized to the rest of the people around, but
Yeah,
I think we're passing it on.
And so this other apiarist, whose name is Wex, is able to basically update, bring you back into a more recent resonance. Like, okay, basically you've caught up a couple of verses in the hive's kind of progression there. And I think from that we can montage back. And I'd love one more moment or one more picture for each of the three of you of like, what do you do after this mission? You're like very nicely compensated by this ministry, and Mir, you're able to kind of send your report to the order. So if anybody has an idea of basically a very short epilogue scene for each character, and then we will be done.
Yeah, I mean, I think I take a little bit of time to grieve, but I think the success of the mission allows me to, feel reinvigorated about fixing the rest of the line. And so I put my head down and continue to work.
Yeah, I think we could definitely have like there's a funeral ceremony for Kairos as a member of the order, and when you get back, there were actually the other knights, and you were able to recover Kairos's body, and as their mentee, the Order offers you basically one component or one element off of Kairos' armor to add to your own, as an inheritance, effectively. So we get whatever that is as you're able to kind of add it on, and then back to the line because there is more work to do.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. Barnabas or Gitta, do you have an idea for an epilogue?
Yeah, so I guess Barnabas, this sacrifice that happened at the altar was sort of one of the first times that Barnabas had ever really consumed another religious iconography or whatever before, and so he realized that it was a way to sort of accrue power and knowledge,
Mm-hmm.
maybe in pursuit of his own enlightenment, and or a way to depower sort of these fringe behaviors. And so I think he's going to continue sort of on that quest, but now with a lean towards kind of watching these bladed god cultists and what they do, as well as other similar behaviors, and sort of
Mm-hmm.
discouraging them through, by whatever he can.
And I would say there's probably a pretty good chance that you break those knives down into shards, but they're still magically charged. That seems like something you put in a blunderbuss, and it would get pretty scary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Some of them act as things you can load in for launching, and others just I attach to the barrel and it continues to be able to be used as a club in situations.
Very cool. Okay, and then Gitta, what do you have an idea for an epilogue?
Yeah, I think it's just a long shot of her in the small room that she rents on top of a food distribution hall, a cafeteria, and she's been meditating for hours, and you can kind of hear the buzz of bees as she's reconnected to the swarm. And she's searching because somewhere in the new kind of songs and dances of the bees, she heard her sister's voice. And she is going to be seeking out where that might be now in this world, where she needs to go next to seek her out.
Awesome. And with that, I think we will close the book on this adventure of Heart, the City Beneath. Heart is a game by Grant Howitt and Christopher Taylor, published by Rowan, Rook, and Deckard. This has been fantastic, so I want to say thank you so much to Dr. Allison Didychuk, Dr. Lexi von Diesman, and Dr. Sukrit Singh. Y'all were fantastic. I had a great time. Y'all took to the game brilliantly, so A+ marks. Huge bragging rights in this segment being that which brought in the most funding. Allison, I saw somebody in chat up the scroll gave you a shout out directly. I don't know if this is somebody that you know, but it feels like we were all feeling the love, and that is very cool. Arv, if you want to jump into this call in a couple minutes, I will probably be ready to toss over to you, and I will just move the thing around so that you're the person who people can see. But for the lovely scientists, I want to give you all a chance to give any immediate thoughts on the game and remind folks where they can find you and your work, or just chat with you on the internet if that's something that you're interested in. And let's start with Allison.
Yeah, thanks for organizing this. This was a lot of fun, and it's convinced me that this is something I need to do more often in my own life. So
Excellent.
Yeah, you've made a convert today. So I had a lot of fun. It was really great getting to know you, Lexi, and Secret as well. So I'm super thankful for being here. Beyond thankful for being funded by Damon Runyon for so many years, and for so many years in the future. You can find me on Twitter at Dr. Didychuk, starting my lab. Feel free to drop by if you want to see what a new lab looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And you can find more information about me and my lab on didychuklab.org.
Very cool. And if you want to put that in the chat, folks may appreciate that. Great. Lexi.
Great, awesome. Yeah, no, I had a real pleasure. It was really fun to be able to kind of participate and kind of, support this, con and the fundraising, and really honored for it to have been going so well. And yeah, no, that was a fantastic game. It's really a pleasure to be able to flex these muscles again. It's been a really long time, and yeah, it's wonderful to be kind of back in community playing games and hanging out. It's a real breath of fresh air. On Twitter, you can kind of just search my name. It's Lexi Von Dietz is the handle. Definitely happy to chat about science or gaming or whatever. Feel free to just contact me if you're curious about any of the stuff I do. And yeah, aside from that, I don't know whether I got anything else more to say. Thanks so much, Mike, Greg. It's been a fantastic experience. And yeah, thanks to Damon Runyon.
Awesome. And Sucre.
Yeah, no, this was incredibly fun. A ton of fun with all of this and this system, and thank you so much to everyone in chat and you, Mike, for GMing, and Greg for helping put all this together. And thanks to Damon Runyon for this opportunity and all the resources and funding and everything they do. If you want to find me, I'm also on Twitter at SucretSing92. That's just first name last name 92. So yeah.
Awesome. So for folks who are watching and for Greg, I'm going to do just a tiny bit of outro, and then I'm going to go to title card, and then Greg, if you want to join the Zoom, come in. I'll make the, set up the overlay so that you're the one who's being displayed, and then I'll give you the kind of the con to take us out. But I do want to point everyone's attention to a comment from the Rising Tides, which is Brandon, who GM'd the session from this morning. To the Scientist players, thank you so much, not only for joining us here and playing, but for the wonderful work you do, which I think sums up what all of us feel about getting to hear about the work that you do and seeing, like, very specifically, getting to see people talk about their own work and coming to a greater understanding of what it is that the foundation does. Not like, okay, here's supporting scientists, but then what are people doing? And getting to see the energy and the innovation that you all bring to your work is really super cool. And so, good job, good luck, and so now I'm going to go to title card, and we'll be back with Arv in just a minute.
Hey, I know that guy. Who is that guy? Who is this person? Speak to this person. All right, good. It's all working. So welcome everybody. I am here, and I'm speechless. I am really impressed. We came into today at a $5,080 level, which meant that we had broken our goal, well over broken our goal. And I figured that we were going to do fairly, we were going to get a few $100 today. I figured maybe we get 5,500, 5,600, maybe we pull up to like 6,000. Never did I think that we were going to raise almost $2,000 in a day, and really in about 6 hours, if you put the two games together, to bring us up to over $7,000. We finish at $7,051.77. That is incredible. It breaks our record from last year. 7,000 last year, $7,051.77. It means that the bar for next year is even that much higher. But before I leave 2022 behind, I am fully aware of what a difficult year it has been for everybody. And as many people have been saying all throughout the con. And so for people to be able to open up their wallets and their hearts, and to be able to, not just with money donations, but in the support of spreading the word, of running the contest. I'm going to run through these people quickly one by one. That is just extraordinary to me. And I am just absolutely amazed that this community has come together again. I should stop being amazed, because every time I'm like, I don't know that we can do this. I'm not sure. The community comes through again and again and again, and I could not be more proud to be an Arvanaut, to be a member of this incredible community that has done real good. Do you realize that with, first of all, a couple of facts here, every segment during ArvCon, literally every segment raised money. And do you know that because of this amount that we have raised, we have now raised over $25,000 in 8 years to benefit Damon Runyon? And that's not counting money that we raised to benefit the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation, the 1 year that we did that. This is a generous community, and it's a community that is generous, again, not just in terms of monetary donations, but in terms of time, in terms of effort, in terms of spreading the word, and in terms of setting the tone, right? The tone where people come into these events and they're like, wow, this is a really kind group of people. This is a group of people. I thought the internet was all filled with darkness and, rabid wolves. I didn't think that and then they come in there and they're like, wow, there actually is kindness and light and care that comes from people who are brought together in a community. And that redounds to all of your credit. That's all of you who do that and who make that happen. So I am just enormously grateful to everyone who made this possible. And I'm just honored, absolutely honored and blown away by the response of the community. Also, I want to give a shout out to Team Order versus Team Chaos. That battle was the gift that kept on giving, let me just say. I hope that everyone was pleased that we did reach 666666 at one point. I don't think there were a lot of, other meme-worthy things that we reached at the time, but we did pass it. I want that to be clear. So that was pretty wild. And I do have a couple of announcements I want to make here just before I start thanking people, and then, as I said, I will wrap up because but I do want to mention that our top 3 donators, now I'm not counting Anonymous. Anonymous was really came through this time. Anonymous raised $1,400, and actually that's out of date, $1,400, and I think it was $44.37. So good job, Anonymous, wherever you are. But in terms of individual donators, it is I am very Anonymous. I am very happy to announce the top 3 donators. The top donator for this year's ArvCon was Configuration Queen with $713.12. And Configuration Queen, thus, is the winner of that. In fact, I'll show you your prize directly. Configuration Queen. Configuration Queen is the winner of this incredible thing. So Configuration Queen has won this. I am, congratulations. Let me move that out of the way. Congratulations. This is going to be yours. So I'm going to be asking for addresses and so on. But you are going to get this. So congratulations, Configuration Queen. And thank you so much to Drew Zion, also known as Rock God in chat. Drew Zion, who is responsible for this. I'm really, really thankful. So I will be sending that. Congratulations. Coming in second And I have to say that coming in second, there is no shame whatsoever in coming in second, because this is actually someone who has donated and given so much over the years. But getting this is going to be Hillness. Hillness, you donated $701.67. Hillness will win this. This is pretty awesome too, I can tell you, because I have it sitting right here. So this is an incredible print. You are going to get this. It is, you can put it as a stand. Like, this is in the winter, right? In the Indiana winters when it's super cold and there's snow on the ground. Just be looking at this. Congratulations, Hillness, and thank you so much for that, because that's amazing. And coming in third and winning a prize pack. And I think this is very appropriate. It's very appropriate that this person has won this prize pack is our very own Write, Teach, Play. Carlos Hernandez donated 500 total, and so wins the prize pack of Micro Macro Crime City, of Port Royal, and of Bonfire, all coming to you from Pegasus Spiele. So thank you. Congratulations to Write, Teach, Play. Congratulations to Carlos Hernandez for that amazing stuff. I will also say, by the way, that print I mentioned was from Prince Justin, who is here. Prince Justin was also the first donator to the cause. So congratulations to the three top donators. There were many other people who donated a good deal of money throughout the course of this. And in fact, we had, I think, almost 50 different donators that I know of. That's not counting, obviously. Hold on one second. I heard the sound of smashing, and I don't know why. There's this that I want to get there. Okay. Anyway, so we had almost 50 donators, not counting all the anonymous donators. So we had a number of different donators this weekend, bringing us up to this total of $7,051.77. That's pretty awesome. Second announcement that I want to make is we ran through literally all of our game codes and all of our giveaways. I think that we have pretty much all of our giveaway stuff is gone, which is, we needed that, right? I mean, we really needed that, thanks to all of those companies. So I'm going to thank them too when I get to that point, but I did want to say that all of the game codes, all of the stuff was pretty much given away. And the other thing I want to do right now is hold our drawing, because we have a drawing to do, folks. Remember that anybody who donated at least $1 received a chance to win this. So any donator is going to get a chance to win this. This is a, again, original Aliatera painting that was done by the artist Matt Spencer. And this was donated by Matt Spencer and by an anonymous donator to us. This is the Aliatera book, a book of Romanian non-binary fairy tales. This book came out, I think, not earlier this year, I think last year. I have read it to my son, who really enjoyed it. This is really great. And you're going to get a chance to get this original piece right here. And that's going to be done right now. So what I've done is, there are 43 people that have donated here. And so what I have done is I have pulled up my dice roller, and I'm going to actually see if I'm allowed to share. I probably can. I don't know if Mike's still there and would let me share my screen. If not, it's no big deal, because I can just tell you folks what I have. I'm sure people can trust me if so. But I am going to, because actually I'd have to share. Yeah,
if you can make your video be what you're sharing, then it should just flip over right away.
If I can. I don't think I can do that because it says you disabled participant screen sharing. So if you do that, then I can do those things. Yes. Let's see. Yes, thank you very much. Okay, so I'm going to share this, which should pop up now, and it should be revealing a dice roller. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Okay. And so I have put in, as you can see, I have put in this die, which is 43-sided for the 43 people that have actually donated. Okay. And I am going to read through this. Now, of course, nobody knows what the names are. I have a list of the names here that I'm going to run through, but we have 43 people that are possible. So again, the winner, no matter what the donation is, whether it's big or small, will get a copy of this. And if you've won something previously and you win this, congratulations, you won twice. Okay. So here we go. One die, 43-sided, and it is 38. All right, now let me go through and see number 38. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And the winner of the Aliatera painting is Geister. Giester, Geister. And I have actually met Geister in person. Geister is the winner of the Aliatera painting, and that's really awesome. So congratulations to Geister. Congratulations for that. That is really awesome. I will get the address and so forth that I need from folks as we go through. I will also stop sharing because we're good to go now. So yes, so there you go. Geister is the winner of the Aliatera painting, which is really awesome. I don't think Geister is here right now, but congratulations, Geister, so much. And thank you so much for all the support. Geister, of course, is a regular member of this community and all, so could not go to a better person. So congratulations to Geister. And again, thank you to Matt Spencer and the anonymous donator, and to Garlic Tofu and Athos Arts for coordinating getting that painting as well. All right, now I need to talk a little bit about some thank yous, and I'll try to run through this very quickly. I want to start by thanking, of course, our corporate sponsors that we had for this event. We had 8, which was the most corporate sponsors that we've had. And I am just, again, the corporate sponsors are really important because not only do they give us things that allow us to give stuff away to people, but also because it really shows the level of support that this has in a broader sense beyond just our own community and stretches it out to other communities as well. So I want to thank Alligator Alley Entertainment. I want to thank Athos Arts. I want to thank Fatbot Games. I want to thank GOG.com. I want to thank Harebrained Schemes. I want to thank Nomad Games. I want to thank Pegasus Spiele, and I want to thank Tin Man Games. All of those companies created and donated books and games and various stuff, so I'm very thankful to them. I want to thank the individual donators, and there's far too many of those to list, but people like Chaotix, people like Triffid, people like Garlic Tofu, who donated not only copies of books and things like that, but also a short story, which is going to be written for someone having hit that $5,000 level. And we had, I believe, a critique that's coming from Triffid, if I'm not mistaken, as well. We had lots and lots of individual donators who made this a big deal. And of course, I already mentioned Matt Spencer and the anonymous donator for the Aliatera art, but also thank you so much to Prince Justin for that print, which Hillness is one. Thank you so much to RockGod / Drew Zion for that painting, which Configuration Queen is one. So thank you to all of my donators. That was hugely, hugely important. I want to thank so much all of the moderators who are here all the time, who were always a part of this effort and who were here all during the course of the weekend. I want to thank, of course, Arudinel, who was here like literally, I think, practically every hour, I think, from the beginning to the end. That makes a huge difference. I want to thank, of course, Turbo Tango, Mike, who is not only a good friend and a very good writer, and you should all buy his Geekomancer series as he re-releases it, by the way, but not only, and my co-host on Speculate, but is a wonderful GM and contributed a lot, not only in terms of Modship, but of course the work that he did today, giving up a lot of his Monday for this. So thank you to Turbo Tango. Thank you. I'm going to save Triffid for last. Thank you to the Rising Tides, our good friend Brandon O'Brien, who did the GMing this morning. Again, Rising Tides has been a wonderful addition to this community. Again, good friend, wonderful author, co-host to Speculate. What else can I say? Game designer, poet, etc. Really good person, and I'm really grateful to Rising Tides. I am super grateful to Hillness because Hillness donated a lot. Hillness was obviously here and was a big presence throughout the course of this weekend and has been a presence throughout the channel in general. Always a very steady, consistent presence too. And so thank you, Hillness, so much for that. And thank you, of course, to Dragonspear. Dragonspear not only put together, Shadowed Mage did the bot, and I do want to thank, let me actually thank Shadowed Mage first. Thank you to Shadowed Mage for doing not just the bot commands, but also doing previous splash screens and things like this. Shadowed has had all kinds of stuff going on with his computer and things like that. So thank you, Shadowed. And Dragonspear picked up the ball there and really redid some of the splash screens, was able able to put together stuff on multiple occasions, also contributed money, as did Shadowed Mage, and as did a lot of the mods too, and also was the person responsible for putting together a lot of the prize packs and those prize pools, and that was hugely important also. So Dragonspear, is extremely grateful. I'm extremely grateful to Dragonspear, who was just extremely generous, and I've talked about that before, so thank you so much, Dragonspear, for that. And of course, Triffity Mats. And the only reason I'm saving Triffity Mats to the last point here is simply because Triffity Mats did such incredible work. Now, Triffity Mats and Rock God both. I've already thanked Rock God for his donation, but Rock God was also here, of course, doing a lot of those donations in the evenings, and also did some in the morning. Rock God, again, such a good person, and such a really an awesome game player, awesome role player. And just, I'm really grateful to Rock God for all the support that he gave and the work that he does as a mod. But in addition, and of course his donation of that print, but in addition to that, Triffity Mats was here just all freaking weekend long, running giveaway after giveaway after giveaway after giveaway. And I could not be more grateful. Not only was Triffid, not only did she donate, not only was she a constant positive presence in this chat, but just was absolutely just yeoman's work all weekend in getting this stuff done. So thank you so much, Triffid, for giving up like your entire Memorial Day weekend. I'm really grateful. I hope it was some fun too, despite all of the work you were doing. And again, I have the best mods in the business, and this is why, because they're willing to do this and come together for common purpose and common cause. So to all the moderators, thank you so much. I want to thank, of course, all of the incredible players, because none of this happens with all of these events. I mean, I guess I could just play video games all weekend, but none of this happens in the same way if you don't have these wonderful people that are willing to come and volunteer their time and effort in putting all this stuff together. And that is what makes this event really what it is. And so I want to thank the amazing people that began us on Friday, and we'll move through. Kat Rambo, Carlos Hernandez, Zach Clay, and Johnny Pittman, who did the memorable finale of Esper Genesis Shadow of the Zephyr. What a pleasure to GM that campaign. I'm glad that I will have most of those folks back for a future campaign sponsored by Alligator Alley, but I'm just so grateful to them. They got us out started with a bang. They did really, really well, and it was an honor to be able to do that. That was Friday night. Day 2 of ArvCon started in the morning with an interview of the scientists you just saw. And actually, if I combine the interview that I did with the game that Mike just ran, the number gets even higher in terms of the amount that we raised with them. But so to Dr. Von Dietzman, to Dr. Singh, to Dr. Didichuk, thank you so much for being willing to put yourself out there and to do such a wonderful job in the interview and the game. The Adventures in Middle-earth crew of Amal Elmatar, of Trendane, of Tari Tunes, and of course of Brad Bollier, all of them really brought it. It was a great combat in a burning house, and I was really, it was an awesome and really fun session, and I really appreciate the fact that they took 4 hours of their Saturday to be able to do that. The one-shot adventure, which ended up raising the second most money all weekend, which I had not expected, with the GOG crew, and what fun that was, with Fleos, with Ananda, with Darksaber 2K, with Peripheral Mike, and with Undeveloped Bruce. What a great crew, what a ton of fun. The battles against the Pie Monster, and I'm just going to let go, chat, the fact that I just want you all to know, the next time that I enjoy a slice of the delicious chocolate cream pie, I'm not going to be thinking about some of the things that you all claim you were thinking during the time that this battle was happening. I was simply providing an innocent and awesome game and fundraiser, and you all can just think whatever you're going to think. All right, that's what I'm saying. I'm just saying right there. Anyway, so that was really amazing, and I'm really grateful to those people, especially because those folks are largely, with the exception of Fleos, who's Canadian, but the rest of them are all European. So they were all like, it got done late for them. They were up late. So thank you to everybody for doing that, and that was great. Oh, no kidding, Dragonspear. I'm sorry that it flaked out, but I'm glad you're able to do that. Yeah, I've heard the term. I just didn't think about the term, okay, because that's not how my mind works, all right? As opposed to all of you people. All right. Anyway, but anyway, I am most grateful to the wonderful people from GOGCOM and my fellow GOGCOM streamers. So thank you everybody for that support. Thank you. And also an assist to Pyron Jade, who, although she was rocking out to Elton John, still was able to put together a character for Ananda. So thanks, Pyron Jade. I want to thank the wonderful musicians we had for our concert on Saturday night. Kilgore Trout, who did the recorded concert we had to play from 3 years ago, which was surprisingly relevant to today's year anyway. But then we had, beyond Kilgore, we had had Chrono Wolf, who did a freaking kick-ass set if you saw that. We had Zach Clay, who did an awesome set that was really chill and laid back and funky and did some cool stuff sampling my voice that I wasn't expecting. That was really cool. And then Indy, who did a really great show. Indy really knows how to bring it and is a good dude. And I was really, again, I was just honored to be able to have this group of musicians. Indy's been doing that for a long time. Zach has as well. Zach from last year, I should say, was his first year. It was great to have him back. Matt had to miss last year, Chrono Wolf did, but now is back. And of course, Kilgore's done it every year as well. So thank you to the wonderful musicians. Then on Sunday, day 3, yesterday, we had our marathon session of Infinity and Beyond, Eberron, Oracle of War, A Century of Ashes. It was really a great session. I had a great time with that, with a lot of different things happening. And I want to thank Trendane again, Tren, who had done 4 hours the day before and did another 7 hours on Sunday. So thank you so much to Trendane. Thank you to Jennifer Brozek, who was going through some stuff, and I'm so glad that she was able to be here for this. Thank you to Marie Bilodeau, of course, as always, and thank you to John Helfers, who managed to get in despite being jet lagged and the airplane was late and everything, but still was there. So I'm so grateful to the Infinity and Beyond crew. Thank you all for being here as a part of that. And then last night, of course, we had Feast at the Title Keep, or should I say Death at the Title Keep. You need to go watch the VOD for that when it goes live, which had Will Sobel, who had put the game together, which had written the game, GMing for Carlos Hernandez, for Kwame Mbalia, who was memorable as Nomi Stark, for Jen Cervantes, JC Cervantes, and for Yoon Ha Lee. That was a great crew. It was a really fun game to watch, and I'm really grateful to Carlos, my friend Carlos, who helped arrange all of it and basically bring all those people together as the Rick Riordan Presents authors were back. That was great. So thank you so much to those folks from last night. And last, of course, today, this morning, as I mentioned, we had the Strange Friends who have been doing stuff with Speculate, Girl by Moonlight, Fractal Spire. We had them return, and despite time zone differences, we're all brought together as Brandon O'Brien memorably GM'd a really cool Stone the Crows session, and we even had the developers stop in chat to check it out. And that, of course, was with Mike Underwood, with Yuri Kasano, with Yoi Gawain Lin, and with Valerie Valdez. Thank you so much to all of those players for being, again, willing to sacrifice part of their Monday for this. And last but certainly not least, as we said, the Damon Runyon scientists, whom I've already thanked there, I will thank them again. And again, thank you so much to Mike Underwood for GMing it, because that was amazing. So if you put all that together, if you put all that number of players, that means that we had 1, 2, 3, 4, we had 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. We had 32 different people involved in this event. 32 people that actually showed up on camera. That is wild to me. And the fact that that many people was willing to come together, including all the moderators I've talked about, including all the people who donated stuff, is just amazing to me. So I'm super grateful to all of them for having done that and for having been a part of this. And having been a part of this event. Speaking of being part of the event, I also want to give a shout out quickly to the people who also were able to spread the word. And in particular, I want to highlight Garlic Tofu on this, because Garlic Tofu, despite the fact that she was at a convention selling books, because that's, her job is selling books and letting people know about her work. Garlic Tofu spread the word about this convention, again, tirelessly retweeting it, tweeting it, sending sunshine my way, but also sending sunshine to everyone around. And again, Garlic has been such a positive force in this community as well. And so I really want to thank Garlic Tofu for tweeting and retweeting this. And again, many of you did that as well. So I know everyone in chat is part of it, but I want to single her out because she did so much work behind the scenes and in front of the scenes, in front of the camera, so to speak, in terms of getting people to know about this and redirecting them to the event. So thank you so much to Garlic Tofu, who is an awesome mod and a wonderful friend and just a good person and great author and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, I was really, really thankful. So thank you, Garlic Tofu, as well. I think I have thanked everyone I need to thank, except one group of people. And I want to finish that, actually 2 groups of people. And I want to finish that, say one thing, and then I will shut up and let Mike shut off his Zoom call. First of all, of course, I want to thank Damon Runyon. The Damon Runyon Cancer Research Foundation, as I've said, has always been something that we've admired and supported since we started this event. But the last couple of years in particular, we've had people who have made this just I don't know, just sort of take it up to the next level. And I've been incredibly grateful to the people who have supported us specifically from there, because they've made this into something that is more than just kind of a More than just something which is just us sort of doing this on its own. Instead, we've had other people involved, and so I want to thank Hannah Passmore, and I want to thank Megan McCurdy, who are the folks from Damon Runyon that were our contacts for this. I'm so grateful to them, and the Tiltify page was a huge help. Can I just say how super helpful it was to have them involved with this? So thank you for setting up the Tiltify page. Oh my God, so good. And I'm so grateful to Damon Runyon. Of course, I'm also grateful to Damon Runyon for the work that they do. And I want to say again that this is not just for the people who have lost their lives. It's for the people who have survived, who have thrived, who have gone on to contribute to the world and to live lives that are full of purpose and meaning and happiness because of the research that has been done and supported by Damon Runyon. So and supported by Damon Runyon, that by the scientists that they support. So I'm so thankful to them, to Damon Runyon, and I want you, please, if you could, spread the word, pass the word on to the folks at Damon Runyon, how thankful we are for them, and we will be here again, continuing to raise money for Damon Runyon as time goes forward. So thank you so much for being a part of this, and thank you so much for all the support that you gave us. I want to thank them. Secondly, of course, the second to last group of people, the last group of people that I want to thank, of course, most of all, is I want to thank chat and the viewers, because you folks were here. We had great turnout all weekend, spreading the word, lots of fun, lots of banter, and lots of support and care and kindness for people who come in. And I cannot tell you how much that spreads the word of what we're trying to do on this channel, of trying to bring people together as a community. And I'm super grateful for chat. And I'm in particular, of course, today, grateful for the donators, all the people, anonymous and otherwise, who donated to this, those whom I know and those whom I don't know, because you're anonymous and I won't know who you are. All of those people who donated to bring us to this total of $7,051.77. It may seem like a small amount of money in the large scheme of things. It's also a huge amount of money in the scheme of things, given the years that we've been through, the difficulty that everyone's had over the last year. Everyone has been dealing with stuff financially and otherwise, obviously the impact of the pandemic, and yet people came through again. They brought through stuff again and supported us again. And I am just, I'm so grateful to those who were able to donate and support us. As I mentioned, spreading the word, but those who were able to donate to this cause, no matter how much it was, whether it was $1, whether it was $713.12, all of that money added up to make this total. And you should all feel proud of yourselves, as proud of you as I am. And that's the last thing that I want to say. I have talked before in these wrap-ups about how moving it is to me to see people come together as members of a community. And that, I think, is always been my watchword here. It is about community, it is about compassion, and it's about communication. And those things, compassion, community, and communication, are the three things that I have tried to use as watchwords for this channel. It has been absolutely inspiring to me to see that those words be taken on by the people here in this community, and to see that happen not just in ArvCon, but in all year round, when people come through with generous donations and people come through to support each other in big ways and small ways. Many ways that I know about that you folks don't, because they've been relayed to me in private. Many ways that I will never know about, because people communicate with each other in private through private messages and contact each other and say, hey, how you doing? Can I help you out? Can I reach out to you? Can I help you out? We are our brothers and sisters keepers. We are the people around us. They are part of our family too. And the more that we can put the lie to the cynical belief that we are all individuals in our own islands who are isolated from everyone, and everything is becoming more polarized, and all the stuff you hear on the media, and all the nonsense that drives clicks, and all the stuff that allows you to get more views and eyeballs, it is not true that that is what we are. We are a biologically hardwired to be social species. We have gotten to this point to the extent that we have by working together. And despite the many challenges we face, and the many problems that there are, and the many issues that exist, and there are many, many, many of them, I do not want you to lose sight of the goodness that exists within this community. In a way, this weekend, ArvCon has always been a metaphor. It's a metaphor for the best of of what we can be. And I want you to think about that going forward. Use this hopefully as inspiration to reach out not only to your family and friends, but to your local communities, to your larger communities, to do work for advocacy, for social justice, to do work for medical research. Use this opportunity to reach out to the people around you, to remind them that we are a community of human beings operating together, not a group of just individuals in our own separate silos. We can work together to solve problems together. And as difficult and as overwhelming as it might be, there are still many, I would say the majority of people that are trying to do the right thing and can be brought together to do the good thing. And if you take anything from this weekend, the fun, the joy, the laughter, the humor, cream pies, whatever it is that you bring forward from this event, I hope the thing you will bring forward most from it is love. It is love that brings us together in this community. It is love that will keep us going as time goes on. I am going to be back with you folks tomorrow, sometime around noon Eastern, give or take, where I will be playing some game. I don't actually know what the game's going to be. Let me see. What is that game? What's that game? What's that game? What's that game? There we go. That is going to be, it looks like, Growlancer 2. Nonstop finally wins. So I'll be playing Growlancer 2 tomorrow for the Patreon Field Chat Chosen Game of the Month, and then I'll be over on GogCom's Pen and Pixels for Pen and Pixels, and I will be playing Solasta Lost Valley DLC. And then I will be off for a couple of days. I think you can understand as to why, but I will be back here at the end of the week. But there's another big thing happening tomorrow, if I can ask you folks to get yourself riled up just one more time. Tomorrow is the release, the official release of my novel Gray Shade. It is coming out from Athos Arts. It has gotten excellent reviews so far, and it is going to be officially published tomorrow. And there's a lot riding on it for me. So I'm really hoping, and a lot riding on it for the publisher, and a lot riding on it for the people involved. So I'm very proud of the book. I think it's actually resonant for our times, and I hope folks will be able to consider checking it out if you like books of that sort. If you like dark fantasy, but fantasy that always has an element of hope, because I can't write any other way. If you like that sort of work, then that's the kind of thing to check out. And I hope you will join us for our release stream tomorrow of as I said, Growlancer 2, and we will be releasing officially Gray Shade. We will also then be launching the Gray Shade preview page for the Kickstarter. So you will then be able to go over and follow that. And 2 weeks from tomorrow, the Gray Shade Kickstarter with a tabletop role-playing game from Alligator Alley Entertainment, and for the last 2 books in the Grey Assassin trilogy, Renegade and Heretic, plus an audiobook from Trendane, and Founder's Coin from Norse Foundry with a design by Tari Toons. We got a lot of surprises and a lot of great stuff coming from the Gray Shade world. That will launch in 2 weeks, and so I hope you will follow and be ready to spread the word about that as well. So I did want to say that that's happening tomorrow. Gray Shade, and then 2 weeks later on, well, Rising Tides was a big part of one of the big reasons that I hope it is read, along with so many others who have contributed to it. So, but that's going to be happening tomorrow. So Gray Shade released tomorrow, plus the preview page you'll be able to follow, and 2 weeks later the Kickstarter will go live. But for tonight, folks, I just have nothing but a light in my heart and gratitude for all of you. And I hope, again, you will take this forward and say, you know what? As difficult as things can be, we can actually come together in common purpose and for common cause. And in that spirit, and with thanks to absolutely everyone this weekend, those that I remembered and those that I didn't, and if I forgot you, I'm so sorry, and I apologize, and I'll rectify as soon as possible. But for all of you who were a part of this event in every way, large or small, thank you so much. I officially bring an end to ArvCon 2022. We raised $7,051.77, a new record, and the 8th consecutive ArvCon 2022 was indeed the best yet. Folks, as I always say, please be good to each other. Much love to all of you. Thank you, Mike, for being patient with the Zoom call. And chat, I will see you all soon. From the bottom of my heart, have a good day.